All right.
So,
yeah, I'm just gonna get started, I think, and then people can roll in and catch things as we go. So I am a Blazing E-Boy, as I hope you all know by this point. And we've got an assortment of our admins and mods here, and yeah, we're gonna be here to answer your questions and discuss a lot of things about the server. So we did send out a Google form a couple days ago, and we will be answering the questions that are registered in there first, and then after that we will kind of open up the floor a bit and let people request to speak or put their questions in the town hall text chat and respond to those. So, see, we have requests to speak, and I will unfortunately be denying these requests until we actually ask questions. So once we read your question, if you've pre-registered, we will invite you to speak, and then obviously you can come up and speak your mind, and then we can have a discussion. So without further ado, I'll be handing it over to Ancient Blade to start.
Okay. First question. GTI here. Yeah. Okay. GTI's question is, well, it's about allowing withers to break blocks in the end. So. Yeah.
So GTI, you should.
Yeah.
DTI, you should see an invite to speak, and you should be able to select that in order to speak.
There we go.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so basically, mining for obsidian sucks, and it takes a very long time, and nobody likes doing it. And letting withers break blocks in the end would mean we could get thousands of obsidian per hour, and we would not have to spend 10 million years mining to make cool farms, because no one likes that. And also, I want to blow stuff up. Yeah, that's my speech. I think it was pretty good. Yeah, I'm very intelligent. Anyway, yeah, let withers. Actually, they don't have to break endstone. They just have to break obsidian. Like, it's only obsidian that needs to be broken.
I'm not sure if that's that configurable.
I'm sure it's configurable. Shut up, Winter. Well, we just need like. Okay, so like something like withers just breaking blocks in the end doesn't matter really what they break, as long as they can break obsidian, it's fine.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, right, of course. I think
it should be.
We'll possible. Look into that for sure.
Yeah, I mean it should be possible. Like
no, I think it's definitely arguable that it's probably possible, or at least possible to.
I mean, it could just
enable wither griefing on all blocks. I'm not sure about specifically in the end is a thing that I forgot about that
you could just enable wither griefing on all blocks. It doesn't matter if it's just in the end or in.
That is true, but then if we're enabling wither griefing for all blocks, we're kind of doing a trade. We're making obsidian easier to obtain, yes, but then you're also making beacons harder to obtain.
Yeah, but
so that is a trade-off you need to consider with that.
Yeah, it is a fair trade though. Plus, wither cages are very easy to make, and anyone who's got wither skills has the resources to make a wither cage.
Yeah, although wither cages with are you referring to like wither cages using LWC blocks or use some other methods?
LWC blocks, redstone, like the fence gate tricks.
Okay, because the one thing is, I don't know that we'd want to encourage like LWC wither cages because
you might not
those do have a tax performance-wise.
Yeah, that's true.
But like wither cages themselves are very easy to build. Like it's not many resources to make one.
Yeah,
so,
that is.
It wouldn't be too hard to make one even without LWC blocks.
Yeah. Okay. That is definitely an interesting proposal and something that we'll talk more about in chat.
Plastic just said that you can make one with 4 soul sand, 1 boat, and 1 slab. So it's pretty easy to make for really anyone.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just a side note, a bit of an aside. For all these questions, even as the person is speaking, everyone please do participate in like the town hall text channel to kind of express your opinions. If you agree with them, disagree with them, that's also something that we'll be looking at when considering a lot of these suggestions.
Sure will.
Either way, I believe that could be toggleable. We would need
Well,
to
I think
look
it'd
into
be
that because I
like
didn't really research that.
okay, yeah.
I'm not
I'm
sure
no
if Tech had
coder,
it.
but like I'm pretty sure, and again, I don't know how any of this works, but it could be something like the one where only villagers can break blocks, but a specific condition like only if the withers in the end it can break blocks. And
Yeah,
in the
I
overworld
do
it can.
understand.
So it
I
could
do
be like
understand.
the villager plugin. Yeah, Tangier, I know my mic sucks. Where am I supposed to get a new mic?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Actually,
My
not
mic is
that
very
bad.
bad.
It's not bad.
I've heard
I've heard worse.
mic.
I've heard worse. Let me say it
I've
that
heard
way.
Definitely.
worse, but it's not good.
Either way, I'm not sure if that's actually configurable in the current setup. We may look into that
Okay.
sooner or later. I don't think we have, though, so I can't speak about that currently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about roughly about the balance. Like, we need to balance the actual, like actual
Yeah.
game economy.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do understand your concern here.
Yeah. All right. Next person.
All right, yeah,
Sure.
let's move on to the next question.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I read the whole response thing, the description?
Oh, for is this Norman's question you're referring to?
Yeah, it's Norman's question. I'm gonna read the whole thing.
Let's since there's like multiple sections to it, maybe you can like start with like the first section, and then we
Okay.
can talk about that before moving to the next section of that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Let me just highlight how much I need to read. Okay. I personally believe PvP toggle should be removed, as it generally is not good for the server, and it kills the server economy of items constantly being circulated around. Also, it makes it less fun and in general isn't that good. I do, however, believe there should be certain places and situations where PvP should be automatically disabled. Specifically, I think that 4 hours of new protection, plus highway protection, plus outlawing spawn killing should prevent the server becoming anarchical. There are many active players who hold the same belief as me, and I think this would be in the best interest of the server to do this.
Okay, so sorry, is Norman in here? We can invite them to speak if they are.
I don't think they are.
No, they are.
Are they?
Yeah.
All right. So before we actually like respond to that first part, I'm gonna say that PvP toggle is obviously like a very highly debated topic. Even within the mod team, I know that there are some of us who have differing opinions. And so far, we've been obviously running with what we got from our original opinion poll from it was a while ago, I believe, and continuing to explore compromises to address both sides of the community, because there are very valid arguments to both sides of the debate. And yeah, I'll share my opinion on it later on, but I'd for now like to invite Norman if they want to elaborate any on their stance. I have invited you to speak if you would like
Norman
to.
has said that he has requested not to speak due to his location, he says.
Oh, okay. That's fine by me. Then yeah, we'll just address what's here right now. You know what? I don't want to start. Who wants to start?
A couple of times. The overall PvP toggle topic. And my personal opinion is that as a player coming from 1.13 community, it's certainly as a PvE primarily player. I honestly think it's a hot topic for sure. It's a topic that has its pros and cons. But my personal stance on it is that it for sure made the 1.13 server a lot more dynamic. That's for sure.
All right. In terms of my opinion, I think, and remember, this is coming from somebody who like absolutely sucks at PvP. I'm by no means somebody who can PvP, wants to PvP in general. But I do see that there is really, I'm not really in favor of one side or the other overall as a mechanic. Like, I see that, PvP on servers are fun, but PvP toggle also has its merits. But the way I'm seeing it is, at least currently, I'm going on the side of toggle because specifically, we're set up as like a TG successor, and our primary focus was and kind of continues to be kind of, first of all, bringing that back and then building upon it to create a greater community. And people coming from that, a lot of them are a lot of our player base that is coming there is accustomed to a PvP toggle environment, and our server was set up with like PvP toggle in mind. So I feel like definitely that's something we can revisit at a reset, I feel like, because then we can set up the server to be more, a server in our environment to be more geared towards that PvP on style. Although, being somebody who hasn't played that much of, PvP always on servers, I can't strictly comment on what that would entail, but stuff like larger world borders and, implementing those things like newbie protection and those kinds of mechanics to make things less abusable. That's something I feel like we could explore in the future, but in my opinion, I'm not sure if that's such a sudden change that should be made, like within the middle of a reset. But I'll hand it off to other people who want to speak.
I believe Skizzy mentioned that he wants to speak.
Sure. Skizzy can speak. If any of our other mods want to comment, please feel free to share your opinion on it, because this is definitely something that there is a lot of opinions on in mod chat, and that is something that like while yes, we're currently like working in this space, we are constantly like, debating. So that's not just something that like, oh, it's the users and the mods. It's definitely something that's like all of us have our own opinions, and we're working to make the most effective compromise. Anyways, tangent aside, I'll invite Skizzy to speak.
I would like to say that PvP was disabled for a reason, right? Or PvP, yeah, the toggle was added for a reason in the first place. As much as I'd like to have PvP toggle disabled, well, there was a reason that was added in the first place, is because the server eventually people just started killing you. Or I don't know exactly the reason, but I know there was a reason they added it in the first place, right? So I feel like it's just kind of be weird to add it back or disable it. I mean, I think it could be. I think we could try it again, see if it works out. Okay, thanks, bro. Tendo, thank you.
Actually,
it was added in the first. What do you mean? It was added. There's a reason they added it.
Actually, interesting. That brings up an interesting point, and I see that Mario Foley is in the stage, so you can indicate in Town Hall if you can't speak. But if you'd like to speak, I'd actually be curious. I think we'd all be curious to hear what the motivations behind originally introducing it are. So let me invite you to speak. All right. Any week now, Mario. You literally said, "Let me in." I've let you
Mario
in.
Foley moment.
Need to click.
Mario Foley.
Oh, I was just talking to myself for a second there. Okay. No, it had the green thing at the bottom left. I was confused.
Congratulations. Anyways.
All right. Okay, listen. So the PvP toggle was added because we were just chilling in Modville, me, Caro, Thexman, and then all of a sudden these Gentry Raiders, they come in and they start killing us. So we added the PvP toggle to not get killed.
Is that unironically
awesome.
the reason?
Is that really the reason?
Well, the real reason is
okay, there isn't
no,
actually a reason.
no, there is a
for
reason. Okay, so when we did TG, why the hell can I not queue into Fortnite? Hang on.
Oh my god.
Okay, so the real reason was so when we made TG and then TGN was like in shambles, right? The TGN people wanted to join TG, but we had a post go viral on our teenagers with like 40,000 upvotes or something. So we had a ton of new people trying to join, and these older players were kind of doing what they did in 1.16, where they would just kind of be really mean against the newer players. And we were noticing that a lot of people were quitting the server and just not having fun because they were getting spawn killed by the older TGN players. And so we did the PvP. I think actually we added we had like a 3 or 4 hour newbie PvP cooldown. But even after that, the newbies wouldn't know that PvP was on, and then they'd die, and then they'd be upset. So we had the PvP toggle, and like pretty much all of TG, has had the PvP toggle on for like 2.5 years now. So no one, I mean, there's like, you have like the 10 or 15 TGN people who have played with a PvP toggle never like available. And no one else really knows, I guess, what it's like. And it was a lot of fun, but it's a completely different playing experience that I personally think the server kind of needs to start out with. But I think what Five Space said before about having like a 1 week trial period could be neat.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea as
Oh,
well.
that is actually a very good idea.
Because
And
I was actually about to mention that. Yeah, like having a trial period just to test it out again, see how it works out. It's probably the best way of doing it.
yes, that's actually a very
Just making
good
it,
idea.
and also
in my
making it
opinion.
more clear and what was happening, like what happened with like what was happening with the PvP, and like having it
Yeah.
on or having it off for like the first 4 hours of their time, and then
I
having
think
it. Yeah.
that's an idea I really can get behind. And we can obviously talk about that more in mod chat and other mods if you have any ideas pertaining to that. We can definitely get that introduced and get that worked on. But I really do like that suggestion, and we could potentially do that, maybe.
Yeah, another
Because I don't know
thing.
how hard it would be to take it. Oh, sorry, but I don't know how hard it would be to like just take it away. I
Actually,
don't think it would be that difficult, right?
I mean, I think there is definitely some technical work involved, and it would be we would also, if we wanted to implement something like newbie protection, as are the suggestions, we would need to obviously have those solutions developed ahead of time in order to do that.
Well, yeah.
So
I think Combat Log X has like a newbie protection built in.
yeah, we still need to like trial that, obviously, though, right? We need to like that would
I think
definitely be
that's also like
take
where
time.
the PvP toggle is. Like,
Yeah, I guess
if
if
you, like remove I think if you disable newbie protection, you might disable PvP toggle. From what I researched, is that you like if you like seen like how Combat Log X works, they kind of like have a main config, and they kind of like have a bunch of modules for different parts of the plugin.
Interesting.
And I think PvP toggle comes from the newbie protection module. So yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I think is a sizable portion of the problem is that is the how do you say it? I mean, we still need to actually account for people like Bedrock players, especially mobile Bedrock players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Um,
fair. Bedrock as an experience that really doesn't work for PvP.
Yeah, in like 99% of the situation, if two people, one on desktop Java and the second one on mobile Bedrock, in 99% of situations, the desktop player, even if they're bad, they're still gonna
Yeah,
probably
even then,
Yeah.
even then, especially like mobile, like desktop Bedrock, you may have a chance.
Yeah, you can.
But
Yeah,
like
definitely.
console Bedrock, less of a chance. Mobile, you're screwed.
No shot.
That is something that I haven't thought about, and that is something that we would
Oh
need.
no, I get it. Plastic, of course. But the thing is that it's still an issue for other players that are actually playing from Bedrock.
Yeah, but Bedrock is definitely something that, as much as people like don't, people find issue with it, those are players that we need to cater to as well, because ultimately having, taking Bedrock into account means we get more players that can play, which means, we're more sustainable as a server, and I think everybody can agree we want to be sustainable as a server.
Yeah, commenting on that, with the PvP toggle, you're gonna have the same issue that TGN faced, where you have literally every active player in one town, and TG to an extent with the whole opportunity stuff, where every active player is in this single town, and they're all just ganging up on anyone new who joins, and makes it incredibly unfun to play.
Yeah, for sure. But that's more of a, I guess, community thing. Like, yeah, of course, you end up centralizing, and that's probably the case for every single TGN or TMC iteration yet.
Because personally, I wouldn't want to I kind of want to live with everybody else, or live in the same town as everybody else that I already know, and most of the people I know already are more established players. So it's not like I'm gonna go and live in some random town that I don't know anybody in. I'm just gonna go to the same town where I know that there's good builders. I know there's people who know how to run this town properly. So, yeah.
Can I add Palo? Because we could actually, I think we could totally have 3 speakers on the same topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
Invite one.
All right.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me speak. I just want to bring up a point that. Okay, 1 second. I'm being DM'd. All right. So, I think with PvP toggle, if you look at if you compare TGN 1.13 and TGN 1.14 or TG 1.14, they're really really similar servers. Obviously, there's a few differences, but I think it's really easy to compare the two. And if you do, one of the only major differences is that there was a PvP toggle, and with that, you can see that TGN had it was a lot more active than TGN 1.14 or TG 1.14. I think, I don't know, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know that TGN had it had more unique players. It had its peaks. It kind of lasted for longer going on, right? So at least in 1.13 compared to 1.14, the difference is that the people who were playing on the server were a lot more invested in the server, and with r/teenagers being as big a subreddit as it was, finding new players and the server ever really dying out is not really, it wasn't really ever a problem. So having a PvP toggle didn't hurt anything. It actually just made the active people more active. So I think that if you are able to somehow get some way of maintaining an active stream of new players, that PvP toggle is just a good idea. But I think this server is not that, because I don't know if you guys are looking at advertising or any other partnerships, but it's kind of just its own thing for the time being.
Yeah.
So, and I know some people aren't going to like that I'm saying this, but PvP toggle, removing it on a server with I'm not going to say it's destined to die at some point. But it's so long as there's no consistent source of new players, the people who are here are kind of just the only ones that are here. So a PvP toggle being removed on a server like that, I don't think is a good idea. But the other point I have is that I'm just a hater, and I like killing people. So I think PvP toggle should be removed.
Yeah, well, PvP toggle, or the lack thereof, can lead to more interesting moments with other players and lead to rivalries with other players.
Yeah.
They want to keep playing and oh yeah, I got to kill this guy, not that he killed me once, and we have to and it just kind of leads to people fighting each other, and then people join that, and then it just becomes a whole big thing. which can lead to more interesting server interactions.
Yeah, but also I feel like you can't necessarily like define it one way or the other, because for like every point that you have, for every point that it comes to like when it comes to like new players versus like existing players, you can really swing it both ways. Like for new players, okay, like on a server, like we're a server without currently like an attachment to get like a flow of new people. So on the one hand, it's like, oh, we aren't as beholden to like, people may say like, oh, we don't need to like cater to like that art/teenagers audience as much. But at the same time, people are already like, we already like, so people who like are finding us are already going through like a lot just to like find us. So it's like driving that few people away by like having them killed killed in a more intense environment could drive them away as well. And then also for like tenured players, like tenured players will have more fun with PvP toggles sometimes. Some players will definitely have benefit from that, but also tenured players might give up after like losing everything from being killed being killed a bunch of times. So it's all like up to making a compromise, and even regardless of if we have toggle or if we don't have toggle, implementing solutions to get it closer to the middle, I think.
I'd like to bring up that a user has anonymously filled out the form, making a long comment on their stance on PvP toggle if you want to look at that.
Let me look at that real quick. Okay, so what this user is bringing up is that they're arguing that, okay, toggle is somewhat the middle ground, that, it's the melding together of the building and PvP playstyles, and mentioning a lot of points that we mentioned before. And while I will comment on that while it is somewhat of a middle ground, it still does favor the building side of things a little bit, because of the fact that both people have to agree to have their toggle off. Like there is no way of surprising somebody with toggle, or having more dynamic gameplay when both people do need to run that command, unless you have like an agreement with other players that's like, hey, let's all keep our PvP on, which is something that does happen. But it's also like, I think it still does lean a bit towards that building style. So there is, and again, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate here, because at the end of the day, for now, I'm still mostly in favor of toggle. But at the same time, like, toggle obviously isn't a be-all, end-all solution, in my opinion. And it does still lean towards that building side of things, and that less dynamic side of things.
Yeah, also, I believe we've talked about it in internal chats, but I think we could attempt redoing the poll, the community poll that was mentioned by several people, because it's like looking back on it, it's quite it could be a bit misleading, I'd say, the original poll, I mean. So actually doing a proper poll with, say, I guess ranking system or something could be a good way to actually gauge community interest in PvP toggle and stuff like that more accurately. And also actually make alternative solutions more equal, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've kind of gotten a pretty exhaustive roundup of opinions. At least in my opinion, Ancient.
Okay.
If you want to
Great.
wrap it up.
Well, can I give my opinion on PvP toggle?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I think PvP toggle is like really overblamed for like server activity and stuff. Sorry. Shut up, Squid. I don't think it's like that deep, and people just want to scapegoat PvP toggle. Like, oh, PvP's the problem, PvP's not the problem, whatever. I think the real problem is more like, who the fuck's shut the. Sorry, I'm getting DMs. I think.
Yeah, DMs.
I think that people really scapegoat PvP. Shut up. I think that people really think that if we re-enable PvP, suddenly we're gonna be back to 1.13. That's not how it works, because I don't think it's a PvP problem. I think it's like people aren't really looking for Minecraft servers as much anymore. And it's just a lot harder to get new people and get them to stay. And I don't think that we can like assume that. Shut up. Sorry, I'm getting a ton of DMs.
Okay, yeah. Actually, quick note.
People are comically DMing me.
Yeah, quick note. Yeah, please refrain from DMing people because we won't be able to respond to DMs as much since we're already responding to stuff in Town Hall chat. Like, if you want to get an opinion, then please do put it in Town Hall chat, or wait until we're opening up the floor for fully free discussion. At which point we'll definitely get to your question. And because part of it is transparency too. Because if you're DMing one mod, then you're not getting the opinions of everybody, and the Town Hall is all about getting everybody's opinions and having a discussion more than just talking to individual people. Anyways, sorry about completely interrupting you, but do continue. I was getting DMs as well.
I just got a DM, which actually has info in it. Wait, one sec. Ask if I should read this out loud. Okay. The thing is, it doesn't happen that often that new players just get killed into quitting. This is basically uncommon unless there's a huge stream of new players. This is basically a myth. The server is dying and the active community wants more dynamic gameplay with PvP. There are no new players. Often the new players become more committed to the server after getting killed. They want to form towns and alliances with other people. It makes everyone more invested in the server. My thoughts on that is I think that's true. I was killed. I mean, I can't say, oh, I was killed as a rando and I didn't quit, therefore no one quits, but I mean, I was killed as a rando and I didn't quit. I think really people overblow PvP killing the server. And people overblow PvP keeping the server alive.
But also,
I don't think it would really change anything either way.
I think
it would
my
definitely
opinion is
help
just
to have it.
we need to have another poll because the poll is honestly really bad.
Yeah. Another poll.
That's
100%.
Yeah, but my opinion on PvP toggle is I don't really care that much about PvP one way or the other, and it's just sort of the issue, the hot issue, and no one really thinks about other things with the server. All they think is PvP toggle is the only thing that can save the server. They never give
no, that's just,
no one ever says stuff that actually fixes the server. It's only PvP toggle or lack of PvP toggle, right? There's other problems and other solutions.
Yeah, agreed. I will say that I'm of somewhat the opposite mentality when it comes to, being killed. Obviously, actually after a bit, definitely after getting my bearings, then, definitely, yeah, being killed a few times by Gentry definitely did encourage me to step my game up. But at the same time, there are a wide variety of skill levels in Minecraft, especially as we're going to be trying to push for new players. So right now, we aren't getting as many new players. That is true. But that's something that we'll also be talking about later, but we'll be trying to change. And when we do change that, we'll have to keep in mind that we are getting people of all skill levels, and there is an inherent skill level bias that, all of us mods and all of us users here are generally people of a higher skill level in Minecraft. So we do need to keep in mind that not everybody who's joining and the kind of people that we want to retain will have the same mindset and have that same high skill mindset.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Should I move on or?
Let's move on for now, and then we can revisit later.
Thank you very much for your contributions, Mario, Paolo, and Skizzy.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Bye.
I'm gonna proceed to.
Yeah, thank you all. And also, actually, commenting on the poll a little bit, just for a minute, I think actually a poll is a good idea, especially because with this town hall, all the stuff here is definitely conducive to, okay, now we have opinions and we have ideas that people can vote on. So we will definitely be using the content from this town hall to possibly create another poll. All right.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. Also,
to,
just a quick side note on the actual town hall itself. I think it kind of marks a half point like before the town hall, we were mostly and are still mostly focused on actually getting the server out, and now we can actually grow and like proceed to grow.
Okay, wait, I got another GM with like actual stuff. So I guess we're still on PvP toggle. Okay. Actual thing, with toggle, it becomes more appealing to kill a new player joining the server because it's the only chance of PvP you will get, and in fact, getting a reaction from them being killed was even more fun. As I mentioned, towards the end of TG, the only fun and interesting thing was just trolling new players into turning their toggle on, which I personally don't think helped keep them on the server, especially with the lower player counts. However, having no toggle but introducing measures like a day protection or other stuff removes the entire idea of hunting new players because A, you can get gear from other people who are an actual challenge to kill, and B, it can be physically impossible to kill them with the measures. My thoughts on this is like, I think it's a good point. I feel like once the server, it's like sort of a vicious cycle. Servers start to dying, so people start killing new players because they're bored because there's nothing's really happening. So then it's like keeps going, and then the server dies even more, so on and so forth. Boom, server's dead.
I think really there's so much nuance to the topic, and I think it can be argued like on and on forever, back and forth. I think really the best way is to go by what Skizly suggested and do a trial, because once we do some variety of trial, we can probably better gauge what factor of each of these arguments is actually coming into play, and okay, like, do we see players joining and then leaving a ton because of no toggle? Do we see things? How do we see things going? Having that trial will probably give us a better indication of how much weight a lot of these points that people are making have. So I think that's probably this thing that we'll talk more about in Mod Chat, and we can see about making that happen at some point. But I think we should put that to rest for now with that.
We could continue with the discussion after the actual questions set, when we'll actually take more questions from the audience.
Yeah, but we need to move on, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Second part of Norman's suggestion. I also strongly believe that certain words which are currently not blacklisted should be blacklisted on the Discord server and the Minecraft server. Specifically the P word, pussy, as it is a derogatory word that no longer maintains its original meaning as referring to cats. And instead vulgarly refers to a woman's vagina and is also used as a derogatory insult. I also believe that dick and cock should be blacklisted. Thoughts?
There's a clear distinction between a slur and an expletive as a whole.
Agreed. Yeah, this is a server full of teenagers, not a workplace.
Yeah,
I'm not
I actually completely agree with Norman, especially in Women's History Month.
Yeah, guys.
I think we definitely shouldn't be able to say a word that is so clearly.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is definitely a line that we're drawing as mods, but I'm not trying to be your mother.
I mean, okay, let's move on. Okay,
I think we have a very clear consensus here.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
Yeah.
We're not gonna ban any of that shit.
Okay, but the next part is
another
a serious question.
Okay, another thing I would like to address is trapping. Trapping is a vanilla mechanic of the game and shouldn't be outlawed. This is a old school Minecraft server, and as such, it should remove vanilla.
Probably shouldn't is what they meant.
It shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't remove vanilla mechanics of the game. I do believe, though, that there should be checks on trapping. Highly destructive or unescapable traps should not be allowed, i.e. bed trapping and portal trapping. Overall, this sums up my concerns and things I'd like to address in the town hall. Okay, so trapping.
So, as of now, I believe... I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not actually too sure about that. But I believe if the trap currently, like the current state of rules is that if the trap is escapable and if it's doesn't actually bypass PvP, isn't it actually legal?
let's actually pull up the rules, and I'm gonna pull up the
Yeah,
rules, and then I can
let's-
read
well-
the relevant
Well, how do you
section of said
clarify
rules.
whether something bypasses PvP or not? That's kind of the problem, isn't it?
I mean, if we're talking about actual rules, like the specifics of the rules, prot, then we should actually check the rules.
Let's check the rules. I definitely will say right now that a lot of what is factoring into that trapping rule is the fact that PvP toggle. At least back when I used to actively mod on TG, I know that we were generally more lenient about like some types of trapping in PvP situations when both people had PvP on, because then the expectation is that okay, you're okay with being killed, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that was something that factored into how we ruled on that, and
yeah, I believe that's how the like many of Titanium Cow's enterprises worked, like the Dimden Lottery, I believe, where they had a room with, I don't know, like, what was that? I forgot. Some mob that was like extremely aggressive to a player.
Let's see, it's taking me an annoying amount of time to
Whether
pull this up.
I believe it was also the pig, like, I don't know how the pig is called. I'm sorry,
Goblin?
I'm not actually English.
Tit wants to speak.
Wait, let's read the relevant rule passage. Okay, so traps to damage, confine, kill, or otherwise harm another player are not allowed, regardless of PvP toggle. I think we should probably revise that a little bit. I think that's definitely something we can revise too, especially the rule doc has been also pinned in Townhall in case anybody's having trouble finding it. So you can view that as well. It's traps to damage, kill, or confine, kill, or otherwise harm another player, regardless of PvP toggle. So at the moment, our state of affairs is traps are completely disallowed. But I feel like, again, as I was saying, a lot of that is due to trying to intermingle with our PvP bypass rule, which has generally been from. Like, I promise, generally our mods are familiar with the rule doc, I would hope. Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar as I could be with some of the changes that we have, because it's been a long time since I've moderated Minecraft back in TG, and obviously we have slightly different rules than TG, and I'm primarily focused on the Discord, so I apologize for not having an encyclopedic knowledge of our Minecraft rules doc.
Yeah, exactly. It's about the as you said, if as long as you actually know the gist of the rules, and later you can refer back to them.
Well, no, I definitely am on the stance, and our mods, if you don't know them, you should, but understands that mods should have not an encyclopedic, but obviously a good understanding of our rules and points.
Of course.
And that is something that I've reiterated over and over again.
But like, if we're talking about specifics, like specifically if someone has PvP toggle off or on, for example, then you should, generally speaking, check that.
Yeah, but anyways, back to traps. So our current policy is that I think we can talk about it. We can talk about it more in Matcha and get everybody's opinion on that. But at least I personally feel that we can remove that regardless of PvP toggle clause, and at least, if nothing else, because I do believe traps, especially traps to damage, becomes problematic with PvP toggle and our current rule set. But I feel that we could maybe be more permissive of traps in the case that it's known that both players have PvP on, like cases less of trapping when it comes to like just traps that are sitting there waiting for somebody to fall on them, more traps that are placed in a PvP situation or are constructed on the fly, we could be more permissive to that, I feel, but that's just my opinion. Man, I'm going on tangents. Somebody else speak, please.
Okay, wait, let me talk. Okay, so, right, sort of tying this back to our thing before the pussy talk. Like with PvP, right? Well, if we got rid of toggle and then made trap rules more lenient, so that way new players and like really bad PvPers had a way to fight back. Because on TG Earth, right, we were kind of like my group wasn't very good at PvP. Well, some people are good, but I was really bad at it. So instead, we like had to trap people and kill them. So like something like that could
Sure,
balance the whole PvP debate. Maybe.
I mean, it could, but I mean, also with new players, you could have also the issue of them falling into traps themselves, and that furthering kind of some of our problems.
Well,
but
someone brought up a good point about like traps, by the way.
Yeah, and I do agree. I do agree that if there was a situation where PvP toggle were removed, I believe that that trapping rules would also become a lot more permissive with that, because then it would make much less sense to ban certain types of traps.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So someone said like this idea of if someone's standing in a portal for longer time than 20 seconds, they get teleported to the closest safe block.
That could be. I mean, that could be an interesting.
Useful. It could also be exploited really easily.
Yeah, well, no, yeah. A, that could be exploited. B, portal trapping is obviously something that's illegal, and I don't think that should become illegal. But at the same time, that could be an interesting safeguard to it happening if it becomes a problem. But I don't see the need to spend time implementing that unless it became like a significant problem, like people were breaking the rules and constantly portal trapping other people.
True. Yeah, but I think that traps bring an interesting dynamic to the game. Maybe we should vote on that.
That is very true. That is very true.
God.
And I'm honestly of the opinion that if it was a PvP server, a PvP, a PvP enabled server, that I personally, as a player, would really like to be able to leverage traps. But obviously, with the PvP toggle environment, it's very hard to draw the line between trapping and PvP bypass.
Speaking of PvP toggle, I think we should circle back to it as a.
Wait a second, are you able to just invite yourself? Hold on.
I remember 5space earlier was talking about how PvP toggle was introduced.
Okay, wait, Paolo, one thing.
Kind of like, huh?
Paolo, one thing. Are you able to just like invite yourself to speak? Is that how this works?
I'll continue talking. So, 5space was talking about how it was added in like January because the server was basically dead at that point because of the PvP. And I think that's more of an issue of like all of the, I guess, known or people who knew what they were doing kind of being part of the same town. Obviously, like with Gentry being basically the only players at the time who had any idea what was going on. And I don't think that's so much of an issue of PvP. I think it's more an issue of just like how the server naturally works. If you're spending like hours and hours of your day playing with like other people, obviously you're going to become friends with them at some point. So I think a good solution to this is that at a hypothetical server reset, you perm ban like all of the active players. But who else agrees?
Very productive suggestion. I'm gonna move you to the audience now.
Are we done with traps or still talking?
I don't know. Ancient thoughts?
Okay. Can I? People are kind of talking about something in Town Hall right now that I think is kind of important to address.
Yeah, that one. I will actually take. Let's address that. Okay. So, yeah, Uku, and that whole DEG thing, that is something that I'm well aware of, and I'm still looking into and seeing if there was anything there. I'm not going to confirm or deny that anything happened, because frankly, I don't 100% know. But and I don't have any. There is at the moment no conclusive proof of anything there. If anybody does have like conclusive proof, like I'm only accepting this as like conclusive proof, like smoking gun proof, please DM it to me so it doesn't get lost. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Again, I see things here, but honestly, I'm not going to remember these. So please DM it to me so I can
Loomis,
get that.
you have actually just disproved yourself
Oh, has he?
by Uku saying that Tit and Dragon should look for a fortress. You're actually disproving yourself.
Okay, wait, but there is the actual.
Actually, yeah, no. Loomis has
everyone
sent me.
rushes the
Loomis
village
has
close
sent me
to
this
spawn.
before. Audio recordings. Yeah.
It's definitely.
Sigma, please send those to me.
Okay, you're talking about the village. I guess that kind of falls under that, but that's not actually. I mean, that's not the thing that you're actually saying that Uku actually knew where the actual fortress was. Like, Uku actually saw it while actually working on the spawn, and the same thing goes for many people that actually built this spawn, which I'm actually very thankful for that. That's just because the village was extremely close to the spawn.
Well, no one.
Yeah.
If you worked on spawn or like in a moderate role, you shouldn't have been helping speedrun anyway because he's still
Yeah,
had
no,
an
that
inherent
is-
advantage.
that is something.
I didn't help
okay.
the monkey cage speedrun at all.
Okay, that is something I 100% agree with, and that's something that
Probably is
I
a
like
good
that
thing we
I
should talk
completely
about.
forgot to mention. That's something that we actually like talked about back in 1.17 TG after the whole controversy. Unfortunately, what happened with that run, that was inadvertently my fault, but at the end of the day, we at least had that consensus in the mod team that hey, mods should just not be speedrunning, like period. And I think we held that consensus, and that's a consensus that I do believe we should have had. And that's like partially on me for not like talking about that more to the team before launch day. But yeah, and that's something we will be doing as in the future. Like I will say this now because that is something I 100% plan on doing in the future. Mods and admins are just not allowed to Doug rush at all. Period. Heard it here first. Not allowed to Doug rush at all. And whatchamacallit, we could also extend that to spawn builders, depending on circumstances and depending on how we do that in the future.
Okay, wait. So.
But spawn builders
one
is
thing,
definitely an interesting point that I didn't think of as well.
Probably should move on. But I do think the dig should be like not. Yeah, I think a good solution would just be like doing something at the dig that's not Uku's. Sorry, Uku, but like
we could obviously I do think
please don't put it in spawn.
I do think that obviously what to be done with the dig if any foul play occurred, that can be revisited later, but obviously it was definitely like a dicey situation, and we can definitely talk about what to do with the dig possibly, because y'all do bring up a very good point that I didn't consider before. That is, okay, spawn builders and mods had access to see that village beforehand and had an inherent advantage, like regardless of whether they actually like Uku did anything else with admin perms.
E-boy. Spawn builders did at no point have access to the rest of the seed or the world. They only built the spawn. That's why there's names on parts of the like border.
Wait, so did they not see like village or like
spawn builders only had access to like what is spawn?
Okay, so they were not able to see the village.
Yeah,
spawn builders could not. Only
based
access
it
to the dev server could see it.
See the pillager outpost though, I think.
Yeah. But that isn't useful for rushing.
Either way, we need to move on because this is not like that important.
Yeah, let's move on because that's definitely
okay.
Like
this is actually like a very important thing to talk about. How rules/moderation will/has operated on the server. I think setting a precedent of the types of rules or punishments that we can see later on down the road now, rather in the moment, is very important.
Actually, yeah, Paolo, I'll invite you to speak again because I would like you to elaborate on that question because I'm still a bit confused on what you mean by that.
The one about precedent?
Yeah, it's just how the rules work, basically.
Yeah, I think that a big problem on the other servers, throughout all of them, was kind of just like a lack of clarification of the rules. Like, a big rule now is that you can't use other people's farms, like that counts as griefing, which was like a rule. The only reason that's a rule is because like kind of wanted an excuse to. I don't know the full story, but from what I got is that the only time that rule was like ever used last reset is because Squidman was using a farm that he wasn't allowed in, that he still got into legally, and someone was just, I guess, looking for an excuse to ban him. That's what they're telling me. That's what the rumors are saying.
I will say
But-
that for that specific situation, that is not the first time that has been punished accordingly. I have like I know that I have, and I was told by other mods how to handle this situation. I've had to do that previously for other people accessing farms, though rather than, I guess if they griefed in, obviously griefing in is something that like, obviously is punishable, but then also disruption of protections, like protections abuse, is part of it, because a lot of times to use somebody else's farms, you have to do stuff like, it depends on the farm, but you have to do stuff like bypassing hoppers, or using hoppers to bypass chests and stuff like that. So there is a real argument to be made many times in the ways they are, it's the ways it's done, and obviously within reason. That is obviously like, I feel like that is somewhat of a common sense rule, like, don't use other people's farms, but also I would like to hear about the more general question that you have.
Yeah, no, that was just kind of like an example, but I think just kind of with how like, because that wasn't really a rule prior to the TG being a thing, but that's kind of beside the point. It's just more like, I guess, a clarification of rules, because is there a points document for the server, or
There is a points document for the server. There's a full rules document as well as a points document.
I've thoughts about a points document, but that's not what my question was about. I guess like a way, because with how specific Minecraft can get, like it's there's really like no way to write a rules document that covers everything.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering if potentially you guys were looking at a way to kind of cement precedent as more than just like common sense or just like word of mouth. Or
Cement
like,
precedent. Oh, that okay, I see what you mean now, and that is a that is definitely, like, I can see what the question is. So if anybody's like so confused, I think what they're trying to say is if it's like, if we decide, okay, like we like say there's an odd situation that comes up that like that we like we kind of have the team kind of talk about and come to a ruling on, is there any sort of irregular, regardless of either internal or if there could be an internal or potentially a transparent way of kind of noting down these precedents and making them referable. I definitely think internally it can be done, although the problem with doing it in a transparent manner is that our longstanding policy, TG and otherwise, has been to not discuss like the specifics of bans outside of talking to the user, and there's various reasons for this. But I think the problem with like a transparent precedent document is that it gets very dicey on disclosing the details of people's bans that they may not otherwise want disclosed, and for the other reasons for that, and also B, that precedent is very icky in that whatchamacallit, context is definitely necessary, and people might misinterpret that and try to come to their own conclusions about what's legal and what isn't, when it may not actually play out that way. But then that's also probably an argument for your side as well a bit. So if anybody wants to comment on that.
Oh, sorry, I was distracting again. Yeah, no, I definitely agree that I think there are a lot of ways. I guess my question, it was like a bit vague and just like how the question was formed. It was just like a general, I guess, ask. I wasn't really like saying anything. I was just asking how that would have been handled in the future. And obviously that's a decision that you guys can make on your own time. I think that's all from that.
Yeah, definitely thanks for the insight, and that's something that I will be noting down, and can talk to more about the team later, although that might not be something that you necessarily see publicly. That's definitely something that can be talked about internally. Because I do agree, and actually it's a point that I brought up a long time ago and then like back in teaching completely forgot about. So yeah, definitely you're not the only one that shares that sentiment.
Okay. I believe Squid wanted to save something. Let me actually find. Oh, there you go. All right, Discord's.
Yeah. So basically, let me explain what happened. So I was unbanned from TG 1.14 Minecraft server, and then I went to what's his name, Doctor's drowned farm, and I entered legally to kill the monsters within the drowned farm, and I got pointed for doing so.
We do not discuss bans or any other punishments in the
Especially from
Townhall.
TG.
No, I'm
for
just explaining the situation that happened. So I was wondering, like, the precedent for such situations. What would happen on this server?
I think
Well,
generally.
if you have consent.
No, but in the rules document, it said like you can just kill monsters in that farm.
Well,
No, they said you can kill
hostile monsters, of course.
hostile monster,
which
but
drowned
still there
are.
is. See, the thing is it's honestly very hard to get into most farms in the first place without breaking some rules, whether it's griefing or abusing protections or trying to bypass LWC.
There's always a way into someone's farm, though.
There's a way into, not necessarily a way to use it. Like, for example, even if you get into a farm legally somehow, oftentimes if it has an item collection system, you'd have to bypass that in order to be able to get the items.
Yeah.
So I see very few cases, and even then in general,
those cases, what would happen?
Even then in general, I feel like, and again, other mods can comment on this, but I feel like, at least in my opinion, people have the right to like expect that a generally protected farm should not be used by other people. I mean, there's obviously like a lot of benefit of the doubt, and a lot of that can be case by case, but generally, you know, people have the right to like their own stuff. That's the whole idea behind a lot of our plugins and our rules. Thoughts?
I kind of disagree because, like, if there's a way in, then there's a way in, and you should be able to use it. Like, it's their fault for not completely entry proofing their farm.
I guess it ultimately is a case by case scenario here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, again, I feel like case by case, but err on the side of people have the right to not have their farm used without their permission.
Okay.
Personally agree with Squid here. If as long as you don't place any blocks or like in their farm or alter anything, if you just enter and use their farm, if there's a way to enter legally, then I don't think it should be illegal because
the way to enter and use legally. That is a fair point.
Like another example is in 1.13, Cronky used to enter a Guardian farm legally to use it every time he needed repairs, and as such, like, should he really be punished for doing so, even though it's kind of the person who built it's fault because they didn't.
That is actually a very valid argument. To be fair, like obviously griefing, bypassing, those are never allowed and those will be punished. But I guess there is an argument to be made for like if you make your farm open and like enterable. But there's also farm designs that like to some extent could prohibit like, you know, it being fully closed down in that way. But I feel like that's also not very uncommon.
That's just the farm design then. Like,
yeah, that is fair. And I guess
a different farm.
I guess again, it really depends on, you know, at the end of the day, is it really causing significant amounts of harm? If somebody gets in, like,
this,
probably depends on it, but like depends on the farm probably. But like, for example, like an Enderman farm, like I feel like it doesn't harm anybody if you go in and kill a few Endermen. Like it doesn't at the end of the day doesn't affect the farm. And the
Just
person
regenerates quickly.
Yeah. Although the only thing I could see is, people maybe like camping farms that like, the person who actually built it or people who actually built it want to use, but then they can't because people are camping it. But then also, again, the argument of locking down your farm appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can you repeat that? I wasn't at my computer. Can you repeat that, please?
I think it was just we're kind of talking about the arguments between like, okay, people have a right to use a right to like between people have a right to like not have other people using their farm, and also like if you make a farm that can be entirely used without griefing or bypassing or breaking any other rules, isn't it kind of your fault that they're using it? But then also like feel like it could open things up to like loopholes.
Yeah,
That's like the main thing.
I think that's like that's a possible part of a larger role overhaul.
I think whatever, that's probably that is probably gonna be a more concrete rule that needs to happen at some point, because that is a very interesting thing that isn't fully covered by our current rule set. So
That's true.
I definitely thank you for bringing that specific case up, because that is something that we can clarify in our rules in the future. I feel like at least in the moment it's a niche enough situation for all those things to line up that it isn't going to be as much of a concern in the short term. But it's definitely something that we could absolutely do better in clarifying in our rule set.
Yeah, I think that should be like the same for like a lot more of the rules as well, though. Like I think more clarification is like almost always good for
Yeah, that is true, and I mean, do keep in mind that obviously it is very hard to think of a lot of cases when you're simply just writing rules. I mean, I've had to do rules revisions before, like tried to think of rules revisions before for TG and all that stuff, and it's very hard to like comprehensively think of these things until you're in the moment, which is why Palo's whole like precedent argument definitely intrigued me, because that is something that we do use a lot, our precedent itself, but it could be organized a little better. So definitely, I feel like that could be something we could include in a survey, like situations, like have people submit situations that they want clarification on, potentially in the rules, or via just, mainly in the rules. Like we can have a poll, like, hey, this question specifically, are there any rules that are confusing to you? Any situations that you would think need a more concrete ruling, etc.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
All right, are we done with this topic? Okay.
Thank you guys for.
All right, I'm going to invite Rocketman and Boppo Loppin, who both want to speak about server advertisement and expansion of bringing in new players.
Do we have a request about that?
We do. Well, we have requests about that. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we're inviting them on because
yes,
because both of them asked very similar questions, and I think we're just going to tackle that all at once.
Yeah, I thought it was just in the chat.
So let me find both of them.
Rocketman, Bob. Okay, Bob Loppin is here. I did. All right, hey y'all.
Take it away.
Hello.
So, could I speak first?
Sure, let's have Rocketman speak, and then Bob Loppin speak, since you guys, that's pretty much the identical question, so like,
okay.
if either of you have stuff to elaborate.
Obviously, TG had the advantage of having a huge Reddit and Discord community behind it to bring in a lot of new players and a lot more circulation. And in the Town Hall chat, I've seen mentions of a TikTok, but I was wondering what methods is the mod team developing to bring in new players, and also what are they doing to maintain the server community and make sure the server doesn't die and increase the server's longevity, basically.
Bob Loppin, if you want to kind of elaborate on that, if you have any other.
Oh man, that's pretty that's pretty much what I was gonna say, honestly.
All right. So I know I start a lot of these things off, but like this one is definitely something that I want to preface with because it'll impact a lot of things, a lot of the discussion. But we do obviously not all of us have the answers when it comes to how to advertise and what strategies using because ultimately yeah, that's not an easy thing, especially a lot of us don't have the best knowledge in terms of marketing, which is why I'll be I think within the coming week, but give me a few weeks depending on how things go. But I'm going to be opening up applications for a content team.
Leaks.
Yes, I'm leaking. Haha, leaks. But yes,
Leaking once that you're demoted.
yeah, I'm leaking. But I said it in mod chat, so I'm not. Well, actually, yeah, but yeah, but yes, I will be leaking. I'll be leaking. I'll be introducing a applications for a long in the works. I'll be introducing applications for a content team, and content team will be twofold. There will obviously be a component when it comes to events and stuff on the server. Ways to keep people engaged, but our content team will also be
useless marketing things.
Have involvement with marketing. Yeah, we'll be doing our content team will also be involved in marketing. So we'll be accepting candidates both that are have an interest in doing events, having great ideas for events, but also candidates who have ideas and expertise when it comes to marketing and growing our player base. Because the unfortunate reality is that we don't have that r/teenagers link. We don't have a lot of the influx that it gives us, so we need to be much smarter about our advertising. And ultimately I don't think any of us are really marketing experts or really know a lot about marketing overall, so I definitely like to get fresh blood in the team that does have more of those ideas, has that creativity, and has that expertise when it comes to
also,
marketing.
Possibility would be code monkeys, because we don't have that many developers in our team right now, I believe.
Code monkeys. That could be.
If you're a code monkey and if you want a code monkey, please.
Code monkeys. Yeah, we'll consider that. That's definitely something that we can talk more about because obviously having people developing things is also a very useful skill and a very useful thing that we could use more of. We will say that content team, even though it's not a moderating role, we will still be requiring that candidates be be somewhat like mod candidate-y, like obviously you need to be in good standing on the server, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, we'll be looking more for ideas. Especially be looking for ideas, and we'll be looking for. So, if you're interested in that content team, start thinking about ideas, whether it's events, ways to market, strategies. Obviously, if you have a concrete plan for how you're gonna market in this X way, then that's definitely a factor that'll factor into our application process. So definitely be keeping that in mind and stay tuned in announcements for that. But then in terms of other strategies, other things we can do, I'd like to open up the floor to everybody else.
Just a request, maybe. Would, for example, Prod 5 be interested in speaking? Because I see he's a really, really active in the Townhall, somewhat critically. And yeah, I mean, critique is fine, but actually constructive critique and not just flaming. So would appreciate if you actually have any decent ideas. Please speak up. I can invite you to speak. And yeah, feel free to proceed if you want.
Can I ask one more thing?
Oh, sure.
So is there any update on the frequent, I'm not saying to confirm any events or anything, but do we have a confirmation that events, like the frequency of events?
Not at the moment, and I feel like that may, I definitely do believe that frequent events are somewhat frequent events of work, but obviously, again, we're onboarding, we're trying to get people for content team for a reason. That content team will be able to flesh out more how they want to approach events and how they want to do that. So
that's also the part of the content team and the promotion stuff. We just wanted to first set up the server and then later proceed with actually expanding
Yes.
it, say.
Yeah,
Okay,
but yeah, that'll definitely be responsibility of said content team to
Prot mentioned
decide.
he wanted to speak, so I'm inviting
Yeah,
him.
go ahead.
Yeah,
Hello.
I wanted to ask about mostly what the server is going to do to not be dead.
Well,
But
again,
also,
We've just
I
talked
was
about
going to say, most of the things I've said and I want to talk about, I've already typed in chat. And I'm kind of trolling, but it's kind of serious at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but yeah,
I'm trolling hard, but some of my points make sense.
I mean that is fair, and
my name is
yeah,
OAF.
yes.
I'm throwing Dory. But yeah, I don't know what you want me to say because I typed all my stuff out already.
But yeah, yeah. Again, I think we kind of addressed that whole like. Again, we don't know the answers, so we're trying to get people who do know the answers,
I
or
was
who
also gonna
have
say-
better answers than I do.
Because at the moment it seems like the only plan is content team, which
That
I
is
don't
the
think
main
is.
plan. Because,
I mean, it could work, but you know, who knows? But I
yeah,
think we should look for partnerships with subreddits.
yeah,
And I
that
know
is
it's easier said than done, but I think that should be like the main focus because
yeah.
that
I
actually
think
works.
partnerships with subreddits is an interesting thing because obviously that takes a lot of effort for like we need to be like marketable to said subreddit, which to be fair isn't that hard considering
I mean,
subreddits that do have
we do,
Minecraft
to be
servers
honest.
generally they kind of suck. It,
Like I don't think we have to market that hard to them. Like it's
But
just a
then-
Minecraft server.
But then the other thing is then that we need to make sure that we would be partnering with with like subreddits or other communities that are actually like aligned with us in terms of like ideology and in terms and any arrangement would have to preserve our autonomy because obviously as a community I think and in terms of leadership and again you can correct me on this but I feel like autonomy is
I
a
just
big point
posted
that we
a
want to preserve.
subreddit in the chat we can maybe look at.
So just some input from me. I'm actually a part of another SMP that solely advertises on one Discord, or not Discord, sorry, subreddit. It's the r/Minecraft servers subreddit, and they can get a consistent 40 players, and that's publicly available to advertise for any server. So
yeah, r/Minecraft servers is definitely something that we will be hopefully trying to push a little bit on.
I mean, it's certainly a big community for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but the problem-
considering we actually have a stable, say, playership already, I think we could actually get it working. Yeah, but like it's for sure one of many ways to advertise, and that's why we actually want to invite more people, so more people can actually take time to actually focus on that. Because like admins have like 100 of different things to focus on.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah, I think.
If I can just add on the whole idea of becoming a part of partnering with a subreddit, it's you have to remember that we're not just a Minecraft server. We're a whole community of different games, and especially we also have a Terraria server, for example.
Yeah, that
we would have
true.
to remain more than just a Minecraft server. That is our plan.
See, the one problem that I seem to have with partnering with subreddits is that by partnering with subreddit, unless certain arrangements, but unless you're mostly you're kind of saying hey, okay, we are aligned with whatever the topic this subreddit is about. Like the nice thing about the way r/teenagers was that teenagers is such a general subreddit, it's a general topic that by being, obviously there's the teenager specific nature of it, but then besides that, there's a lot of, you weren't beholding yourself to any one ideology or topic or anything like that because teenagers is such a general thing. But if you're partnering with something for example, as you mentioned, anarcho-capitalism, the real problem with that is then by partnering with that, then we're saying, okay, we are anarcho-capitalists, so we support this, we want to make our identity about this or align our identity closer to this, which is not necessarily something that we want to do in general with not just speaking on whatever that specific thing is, but like in general, I don't think that's something that we want to do. So it would vastly narrow down the
I was
subreddits that
kidding
could
about
actually
that, but
do that
I
feasibly.
think there's kind of a decent amount of subreddits still, like maybe the meme ones, just people with that have like younger populations that are probably playing
That is
Minecraft.
true, but
I think there's a good amount.
yeah, I mean that is. I think that is a fair argument and something we could explore if the opportunity arises, but
Well,
not
I don't
necessarily
think
something we
it's-
should.
No, I mean, I think we actually have to pursue it. I don't think it's like if the opportunity arises, like we have to be
Yeah, that
active
is-
about finding a partnership. We can't just
That
sit
is
around.
fair, but
wait for-
again,
like,
and
what?
that's something.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I think that's fair, but that's something that we'd probably have to come to consensus on if we want to. And at the moment, I think, at least for now, we're kind of a little skittish about like potentially like aligning ourselves, attaching ourselves, or kind of making ourselves beholden to anything like that. So
I will also say,
quickly.
like, I think the r/ teenagers community is quite different to the people that actually play on the server.
No,
Or like
that is
people on
that is
TGN and
fair.
stuff. So I don't think it's necessarily true that they're going to come over and it's going to be the same as the subreddit. Like
No,
usually
I'm
the
not
Discord community is completely different to the Reddit community, and then the people on the server are just completely different.
Yeah, no, that's not
There's
that's
a
not the point that I was
difference.
making in that case. The point that I was making is more that is less of people coming in, more that by doing that we are sending that message by partnering with a specific subreddit about a specific topic. We are sending the message that we want to be about this, which
Right.
often cases would not be the case.
But I mean, a lot of the time these subreddits aren't about anything. Like the meme ones aren't about anything. Maybe the anarcho-capitalist one is they have an ideology, but
Yeah,
most
no,
of
but
them
that's the
don't
thing
have
that I'm
ideology.
saying it doesn't completely eliminate it, but it definitely narrows the list by a large margin.
Not that large. Like lots of
Pretty large.
subreddits are like meme based. Like the ones that I mean, I think we could still find a few.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's something that again we can explore. Definitely talk to more about mods because
this is like I actually can't think of another way to like revive this. Like, how are we going to get active players to stream in? Like,
And
this
that
is
is
basically the only
fair.
way, unless you can think of something else. Maybe like I don't know.
I
So it doesn't
I
even
feel like
matter if it
that's-
aligns or not at this point.
I feel like
The
it's
server's going to be dead.
less the only way, but that is definitely something we can.
What do you
we
think's
can
another way?
talk about and explore. And again, if we get to the point where that is necessary, we could be more active in pursuing that. If
I mean,
we decide
it is kind of necessary. Like the server's dying hard. Like I don't know if you see the charts, but you guys are just sitting around talking about content team. Like there's like 12 players that play on weekdays.
I mean, to be fair, it is the weekdays.
I know, but
Keep in mind
TGF
that it's the
other
weekdays.
servers, like we had like 40 players on. The weekends we have like 20 players on.
At the
It's
moment,
not really that impressive. Like we haven't had.
it's not
that many
impressive,
players.
but at the end of the day, at the moment, I don't. And looking at things, I don't think that we're at the point where we are like.
Yeah, we're not.
Where we strictly
we're dying
need to
slowly.
be like getting a large influx.
I mean, we don't need a large influx, but we need a stream of players. And at the moment, we're just slowly dying off. And I don't even feel like playing the server anymore because it's just like I know it's going to decline. There's no point playing in it because I know in a few weeks there's going to be like 8 players online.
Well,
after
certainly
school.
if no one plays, certainly if people have that kind of.
Yeah, but people have that opinion
Sure.
because there's like literally no new players.
Yeah, I think that this is also something that could be suited for a poll as well. Like, obviously, needs to be talked about internally, but it could be suited.
What do you
to
mean?
see if
I
other
think
people are.
everyone agrees that we need new players.
Because I don't.
Like,
Because
what the
honestly, I
hell?
don't. Well, no, new players definitely, but I don't know if everybody agrees that we should partner with a subreddit. So that could be something that we could gauge more community.
To be honest, I don't even think that this should be up to the community. Like the server's just gonna be completely dead if we don't. I don't really know why you would be against it. Like,
yeah,
you're
Because there are so
we're gonna be
many
fucked.
different ways
And
to
whatnot.
expand the community in so many better ways. Primarily with actually keeping our sovereignty. And
What?
yeah, we.
Like, what do you mean? How are we expanding by doing nothing?
We're not going to be doing nothing. Is the whole idea.
But you just said, like keeping our sovereignty. Like, what do you mean?
As you've said, TG or TGN was always a pretty self-contained and pretty independent community. But the thing is, with partnering with someone else, it usually means that you're gonna let go of some, control over your server. Like we've had some ideas early on, partner with one of TeamServe's offshoots, and we ultimately ruled no.
Why?
Mainly
I mean,
because of that.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna say that
something. I think like TGN, the management and the stuff wasn't really that related to it. Like it was pretty much independent. Like I don't think it has to be like they own the Discord server and they set the rules.
Yeah, no, that is true, and any arrangement that we were to ever come to would absolutely be
Like we just found an active player right now.
Have to completely we'd have to completely maintain our autonomy. Whatnot brings up a good point that like it's a really a tough sell, especially like for me, especially coming out of TG and coming out of having having that issue with everybody else with the subreddit that we're more under and partnered with, and also even with TGN, they were somewhat scorned by TeenServe, by like r/teenagers in a way, which kind of I feel like that's one of the reasons that I'm really skittish about associating so early on. I think Whatnot wanted to talk more about that, so I'm going to invite them to.
I was also going to say, I wouldn't even have liked like a partnership with r/teenagers. Like if you look at their subreddit, it looks stupid, but then it actually worked out well. Like TG and TGN is fine, so I don't think we need to be as scared as you are.
Can I talk a bit about this? I have a bit of a opinion on this. Oh, that's okay. So yeah, Michael, you make a great point, and so does eBoy. Having worked as a mod on TG, like you can obviously tell, like I have firsthand experience with server dying. 1.17 was not supported for months, and part of that was due to bad timing, part of that was due to mod inactivity. But actually, yeah, you're right. If we don't get new players, that's how it's going to go. And that's how it will always go, because no one wants to join a community with no players. If we start too late, it's going to be, right? Like if we start as a reactive decision to start trying to get new players, it's going to be already too late, especially since we're only at 20 players already. You're right. But I think trying to partner with a subreddit this early is a really tough sell. eBoy was trying to get to this, but the reason why TG died was because Phil's priority was, the subreddit and stuff. And because of that scorn, a lot of people here are very wary about joining a sub. I think the best way to do it right now is to advertise, like many are suggesting, on smaller servers and stuff like that, like the MC server subreddit. That's definitely a good way to get started. But for partnerships, it's not something you should rush into. It's something that you should start looking for right now and start considering, but I don't think it's something that you should sign up for as soon as you're offered, if that makes sense.
If the advertising works well, then obviously there's no reason to.
Yeah, of course. The second thing is events. Events. I wanted to do more events for 1.17. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. The issue with events is that if you don't get them started early and continue them like every few weeks, they have the impact of getting players on for a total of like 2 or 3 hours and then stopping altogether. I saw that with plenty of events, even though they were at least in my opinion, some of my favorite events, and I've heard from other people some of their favorite events, not to toot my own horn, but they don't have a lasting impact unless they're continuous, because no one's going to want to play on a server that's dead most of the time, right? So you're just that's the issue with events. But I think what you should do, what the best plan is going forward, is eBoy was mentioning like a content team. As long as content is getting put out on a constant schedule and basis. Sorry, that's my timer. I'm actually in a midterm. Anyway, as long as content is going on a constant schedule and basis, and you guys are shopping around for communities to partner with or ways to advertise, I think that the server could take off. Otherwise, if you don't get on that, it's going to be an issue, and I think that's what Michael's point is.
I see your point about being proactive rather than reactive. I'll say on the events thing, it's definitely that's definitely a priority. One advantage to this community obviously being separate and us having more control over our structure internally as opposed to TG, because I feel like, and you might be able to kind of understand this, but one of the problems that we had on TG inherently, it was a great thing, but it was also a problem, and that was that we were, besides Vil, who obviously didn't take much of an interest in the server whatsoever, or in anything, we didn't have anybody who could really make a final say beyond Muzak on some things. And because of that, a lot of stuff was proposed and kind of dilly-dallied and then never happened. So I feel like having, and I'm going to be structuring things internally so that this is, accommodated for, but having, more organization, having more of a, okay, somebody's gonna kind of be like, hey, chop chop, we should do things by this time, and having more organization deadlines, etc. Obviously, that not being overbearing or authoritarian in any way, but like having.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was one of the things when we were trying to prevent TG from getting shutting down. That's one of the things I submitted to Vil.
Yeah, because honestly,
ago.
so many things in TG just never happened because there weren't enough organization, wasn't enough organization, deadlines or people there to organize each other.
Yeah,
there wasn't
sure.
that mechanism there.
I mean, one example is the Falling event. When we did it, or when I did it, when I programmed it and stuff, it was originally meant to launch I originally wanted to launch. I think we were talking about it the month anniversary of the 1.17 server in order to be a little kick to keep it going. It didn't end up happening for 3 months, I think, and that was awful, right? That was
So
one of the reasons for the death of that server. So I just hope you guys can do it well.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to angle as much as possible to fix those issues versus how TG was organized internally.
Okay. Anyway, I have a midterm to get back to, so
you should get back to that.
Also, just one thing. Wait a second. I'm getting into ADM. Sorry, about the promotion stuff and content team stuff. One thing that needs to be certainly pointed out is that we actually, well, as I've said, this town hall is kind of a midpoint because we are a young team of people that are relatively inexperienced with actually managing a big server. So a lot of stuff needed to be ironed out early on, and well, there are several people that had to actually focus on that. It's me, it's Tekna, it's several other people that actually did the most basic stuff, the actual server stuff. So what I'm saying is that since we've mostly taken care of the basic server stuff, we can now move on to actual extended stuff. Because that's my main gist of it.
I feel like you could analogize this to Maslow's hierarchy almost. Okay, we have done the base. We've finally gotten through that first tier. That the basic things we need to do in order to effectively survive short term. Okay, we have a server, we have a community put together and rules and all that. We're financially stable. Now that we have those things done, we can focus on these things like all the improvements we're talking about here, marketing, content team, etc., etc. And I know that obviously it hasn't been as much of there hasn't been as much of those kinds of things done up until now, because we were focusing on a lot of those other more basic things even behind the scenes that you couldn't see. But now that we have that, we'll definitely be making more strides to be more proactive when it comes to those those next steps, those things for ensuring that we can be around long term. And I know obviously, like, us being so vague about how we're going to accomplish that doesn't inspire the most confidence, but at the same time, and I think we'll be like, first to admit that, but we don't know all the answers, and that's why we're trying to get people who can help us find those answers through, again, that content team initiative. And now that we can focus on those things, we can definitely talk more about them internally and do more research as a whole, and kind of flesh out our approach. But I do really agree with your sentiment that we need to be more proactive.
Yeah, thank you for actually putting my words into better words, I guess. But yeah, now that we actually have some stuff done, we can actually focus more extensively on that. And yeah, I think that's it from this point. If someone has any more questions, we can either
So,
they can either.
can I ask a final question?
Oh, okay, sure.
Is the plan to revive the server just going to be like marketing and like looking at Discords to market in and just things like that, like advertising?
Again, we don't have that fleshed out right now.
Okay, but like, is that like an idea? Like, that's like the big
Ideas.
idea.
There's definitely a lot of
Whatever.
ideas that's included, but again, we don't yet know what we will,
of course,
what
like,
approach we'll go with.
Of course,
or
like
approaches.
Promotion is a very complex thing. Of course, you can just say like just advertise on MC servers, and for sure that's one way of advertising that. But that usually means that we would need to actually enter social media, advertise in other areas. For example, like people say that we don't do anything, but I think we do more than some servers in the past did. Like we, for example, have set up voting for voting sites, which is some sort of like promotion, like a source of players joining. And I don't remember any other server doing that.
Yeah, I don't think the voting is like an extreme source, but I guess it's something.
I mean, it's a source.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
not a very good source for sure. I mean, there are better, but it's a source, and it's decent. I think. I mean, it's not nothing, and I'm not trying to like say. I'm not trying to say that we have that, so it's all alright. No, we should definitely expand our server, but yeah, just one thing at a time, because like we've actually finished our main server, and now with the help of a future content team, we can progress. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
I've
so much
seen
for.
Ancient and Tekna lighting up. I'm not sure if they actually want to add something or. Okay, maybe not.
Without for any further ado, then let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Oh, wait, should I be introducing another topic?
Yeah.
Which ones have we talked about? Sorry, I was.
We've gone. Let's see. So we've gone past. We've done number 5. Think. We've done number 5. And we've done number 10 and 11.
Can you just highlight everything we've done? That'll probably make it easier.
I don't think my highlights will show for you, but
I mean,
let's see.
Like highlight it. Like highlight the boxes. Color in the boxes.
Let me see.
Um.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I will. Doing that real quick.
Let me see.
I'll just also mark off that one that we. Let's see. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But make sure that
wait,
I
did
don't
we
know if
introduce radar? Wait, did we talk about radar?
we
No,
haven't
we
talked about
didn't.
radar. I think let's try and get through all the questions that were registered first, and then we can
Okay.
we can open up the floor.
Let's do TNT / duping, like stuff like that in general. Because someone's talking about stand duping.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's that? Who's talking about stand duping? Let me find them.
That's Leia who's talking about.
But that was in the chat,
invite them?
right?
Or whatever.
Or was it in the topics?
Well, we have
Okay, well, let's just
we
talk
have
about,
TNT duping in
let's
the topic.
pro-
So let's invite
prioritize topics.
5 back up.
Okay.
So yeah, TNT duping is all that is said here. You'd like to elaborate?
TNT duping? Wait, give me a second. Wasn't TNT duping
Hello?
like allowed in a way?
TNT duping is allowed, yes.
Yes, it may be not working, but that's my fault.
No, TNT duping works.
I didn't see it like
I was
complained
I
about.
used like TNT duping the other day. Like I tested all the all the duping that was before we started the server. I did test like all the duping that was voted yes.
But it could be changed in other performance changes.
That's true.
Well, I guess you're right, but but I was doing some TNT duping like yesterday to like blow up a giant hole. So I know that works still.
Yeah. We'll look into that.
Yeah. So are you arguing that TNT duping should be turned off, or is it like, oh, it's just not working for some reason?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't really say much in that question. Just TNT duping.
But yeah, that's that. Yeah. Ancient.
Sorry, what? One sec.
Ooh.
Okay, sorry. Okay. I don't know what this one means. It's just players, myself, etc.
Let's say here.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of hard then.
Okay, we'll just move on to Uku.
Yes.
Utensils or whatever.
You've been invited to speak. Yep.
Hello. So yeah, I wanted to talk about all the bugs, especially regarding the anti-cheat. I'm just gonna list a few. For example, when jumping, like on a block, you use a firework to go within elytra. It doesn't work. You get rollbacked when you sprint jump sometimes. It's really weird. It does that with boats too. You can't use inventory mods like Atom Scroller or I don't know, easier crafting. It just doesn't work. Sometimes doors are glitching, and you're also unable to eat food sometimes while moving and flying. And there's also just a lot of rubber banding in general. So I've set up a local server on my computer, and I'm trying to tweak the anti-cheats to make it work and like have it being playable. Also, I added like features to utils, which are now on the server. So I fixed /title and /color. I added a phantom toggle, And I think that's it. There's also the bio command.
Yeah, I programmed that one.
Yeah, that was written by Tekna. And yeah, if you want me to add any features, tell me.
Yeah.
Okay, regarding the inventory mod, it's probably because the anti-cheat doesn't let you move stuff in your inventory while you're not in it. You know, like
I've been noticing a lot of, like, I get notifications whenever anti-cheat goes off. I have been noticing something a lot of, like, I think, like, it's called fast click notifications.
yeah, fast code. That's when the player gets timed out mostly.
Huh?
Like it's
Or
out of
like inventory click, or I don't know. I need to look into that. The problem is, as an admin role, I think I like didn't set up anti-cheat properly to. I've been trying to make anti-cheat like not just like like the admin role defaults like has basically basically everything enabled. I think I tried to get the anti-cheat bypass
have
thing
OP?
to not apply to the admin role, but I think I've failed, so I haven't been. I think my account hasn't been really getting triggered by anti-cheats, which
Yeah, I think it's like
it would
a
help if
permission.
I experienced anti-cheat myself. So I need to try to figure out how to get the anti-cheat to ignore the.
I can look at the permission.
I guess you could also just like demote yourself temporarily if you're testing things, but I'm not sure how feasible.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
that's
like
I do that a lot. I do. Yeah, what you said was Zach. That's what I have on my player. I did give myself all luck firms on my player. Just that's I thought but like in the anti cheat plugin, there's like a bypass. There's like a bypass permission. I thought I set the bypass to false, but it looks like it's still ignoring my accounts, or I just, or something else is going on. But I need to figure out how to like make the anti cheat stop ignoring my accounts. I should just like completely remove like all of like I should just completely like set the entire anti cheat plugin to false except for notifications. So I need to work that out. So I actually, it'll help in debugging if I actually do get triggered by the anti cheat things. But yeah, that's definitely something I do want to look into. I hear all your requests, and Uku, you said that you're configuring our anti cheat plugin on a local server.
Yeah, I just have a proper server on my local disk, on my drive. So yeah, I'm trying to tweak it. It's not really working, but I'm trying anyway. And yeah, if I get it to work, I'm gonna send you the config file.
You'll probably have a bit of a harder time trying to configure it because remember that you have high ping on the server. Anti-cheat generally does not like players with high ping.
Yeah, but like I know it happens for people with low ping too. For example, I don't know.
Some of
DPIs
the
are less complaining.
are definitely universal, but a lot of them I think too are because of ping.
Generally speaking, it's something we're tweaking constantly, and we are aware of that. And yeah, we will actually get into that further. But the main issue is that, well, we are human. We have our activities. We have school. We have our jobs. So yeah.
Yeah, and also
other things that aren't Minecraft related.
Yeah. Either way, yeah, we are looking into that. But yeah, could you actually? But you're reading off a list, right?
What did you say?
You are reading off a list, right?
Yeah.
Could you send? Could you send that over? That could be
Yeah,
really
sure.
useful.
I'm doing that right now. Here, check your DMs.
Yeah, thanks. Either way, yeah, essentially, we're getting there slowly.
Okay.
We are aware of these bugs, but yeah, it's all about the balance. And an issue is that while we have some issues, because like while we could share some config with people like like with former iterations of RTMC, where we actually have access to that file, these files. I believe no no TG and no previous RTMC iterations actually had R anti-cheat. And that also has a bit of an issue because we're starting from default
Yeah.
values, basically.
Although honestly, not the
Growing
TG
pains.
anti-cheat anti-cheat configs would have even helped that much because they definitely. I mean, the anti-cheat was somewhat configured, and Musak really put in a lot of work and tried his best. But at the end of the day,
Yes,
it still went off like crazy.
That
Like-
it's true. That is true.
Like, I mean, obviously it's going off like a bit more on this server, but honestly, it's not that far off, at least in terms of how many, anti-cheat thingies I'm seeing. Although I guess it's affecting other people more is the thing. Like, I think that is one thing that needs to be adjusted to. Is like, okay, even if it shows more in, shows like flags like just as much with at the end of the day is more problem for mods than anything, and having to sit through that. If it like at least doesn't try to punish you or do stupid stuff, I think that's definitely the biggest priority, in my opinion.
I think Paper also, like the Paper API, has the built-in anti-cheats. I'm not sure if like that still applies when the plugin is installed, but that's something to keep in mind.
I don't think the same thing. Paper has an anti-X-ray that I configure, and it works very well. But I don't think it has an anti-cheat.
No, I remember there's like some, it's like either in like paper config or like purple config. I think they're like something. There's like something about like player movement, like max player speed. Like you could like configure that, like slightly increase or decrease those values.
I think that's still like less configurable than the anti-cheat we're actually using. Of course, it actually has more strict rules, I guess. But yeah, I think it's still something that we would need to check. But yeah, I think this server software itself has relatively small amount of tweaks relating to that. I think Paper has like anti-X-ray and something else has player movement, and that's it. So it's not a substitution for a proper anti-cheat plugin.
Yeah. No, just I knew that's probably, I didn't think that's like installing another anti-cheat plugin would disable like the internal anti-cheat from purple paper and whatever else is forked.
But considering that, I think ultimately it's a matter of trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's ultimately just mainly a matter of the anti-cheat being more severe than just vanilla paper and purple and everything else.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. But yeah, the configuring anti-cheat is definitely something we are looking into, and will definitely be looking at in the future.
Either way, I think we're done here with that topic.
Yeah, I think we're done. If I can say one last thing, Wuzado is gay.
Let's move on.
Okay. We do this new about the points document.
Huh?
There's a points document, parentheses, I am against this.
Just that?
Yeah, just
yeah, it's
Thank
from
you. Thank you guys so much. Yeah,
guys
I'm
want-
against the points document.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Why?
Can you elaborate on that?
Elaborate.
All right, so I mentioned earlier that with how specific Minecraft is, like you kind of need precedence. Like it's impossible to write a rules document that goes over everything. And I think the same thing is true for like points. There are already like punishments, illegal glitches, loophole abuse, harassment, and sexual harassment that's listed as situational in the points document. And I think that realistically, like while there are things that you can look at like objectively and say like, okay, this is how many points, for the vast majority of things, just because of how many different scenarios can like occur in Minecraft, there's not really a way to like say this is the correct amount of points. Like either you would have a points document that's way too vague and like everything is off, or you have something that's like way too specific with specific things. Like for one of the things which is minor griefing, I think that like accidentally mining like a few hundred blocks of sand or a few dozen blocks of sand like on someone's claim, or maybe like not accidentally, like if you go into someone's river and like you mine up some of the sand just because you need it, like that's I think on a very different level from stealing like 6 beacons from a town or something.
Yep.
And then on the points document, those are the same thing, which I
Okay.
think is
Okay, I mean, in regards to the kind of like the first part of your example there, so our mods already, this is how we operated in TG. This is how we've currently operating our mods. Like, while the points document is generally there to provide a consistent thing, and mainly for transparency, mods do still have the discretion to rule situationally, regardless. Like the things that are specifically mentioned as situational are mentioned as situational because they're always situational. But the things that are mentioned, even the things that are mentioned that have specific point values, those can be ruled on separately based on precedent or based on mod discretion. Obviously, we do generally like encourage and state for some things that like, okay, if you're gonna like do something that isn't if you're gonna like rule situationally on this, have a consensus, ask in mod chat first, so that we don't just have mods going off on their own. And obviously I trust all of our mods, but at the same time, want to make sure that everybody's in the know and in the whatchamacallit. I cannot English. It's been a long day. But that everybody's on the same page. But we do still have that flexibility. Like, for example, again, I believe, and this is the way that we generally go, is we go a lot based on intent. So yeah, if you accidentally mine on somebody's claim and within reason, your story checks out, leave you, then usually we would do something. I feel like that in that case it would be very unlikely that we would point. Obviously situational, but that being said, it is very important to have that points document for the common offenses. So that mods are ruling, or mod rulings are generally consistent, because we're all different people. So that, and we may rule on things one way or another. So we need to have at least that basic consensus in order to make sure that that situations are being handled the same, and somebody isn't, for example, being punished differently than somebody else just because a different moderator was online at the time. So that is important for consistency and transparency, and then also important on the mod side of things too, because honestly, as a mod, it's not that easy to think of how much punishment one thing or another thing can warrant. So by having that document that's a common consensus, it's also makes moderating much more efficient and makes us able to do our job a lot better.
I think,
So, sorry for the long-winded rant, but
yeah.
opinions?
No, I agree on the point where I think like having some sort of consistency within the mod team is a good thing, and I think a points document is, I guess, a way to do that. But I just don't think the points document. I like, first of all, in case of transparency, the fact that like, and I totally agree, the fact that you guys are continuing to kind of like do it still on a case by case ish basis, where like different types of griefing or things along that line sometimes can warrant different like punishments based on the situation. I think that kind of like also goes against the point of transparency. Like, I don't think, I'm not saying like it's something I disagree with. I think you should be moderating like in more of like based on intent and more of like the spirit of the rules rather than like the rules themselves. But like with the point of transparency, I think having a points document kind of goes against that, because
at the same time, remember that the situations that we're going case by case for, like we're mentioning them more now, but those are very, very rare, and generally like situations where it's very clear that the rules shouldn't necessarily apply in there, like not necessarily, but the rules should be applied in more of a spirit of the rules fashion. Like again, with minor griefing, like yeah, you may get that one or two times where like it's an accident or it's an odd case, but like probably like what's it, 9 out of 10 times or even more, it's just regular based on the rules. It's just a very cut and dry ruling. So having that consensus and that transparency for the cut and dry rulings is the main purpose of that points document. Like it's very rare that we need to, at least with the things that are not marked specifically as situational, it's generally very rare, or like moderately rare that you need to invoke that moderator discretion clause. I think maybe yeah. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, I do genuinely agree that like the vast majority of punishments that are doled out are like pretty like easy, like okay, this is what happens, and then you can just quickly reference the rule document. I think though my main problem with it is that for situations that aren't as cut and dry, I think there should be more, I guess, like on the document itself, or like kind of now you can say it that the points document isn't necessarily used. That's all I was kind of wondering about. The main thing was just like I was worried the points document might be used as just like scripture that you like look at whenever anything happens. But yeah, if you guys are just using it as a general guideline for the cut and dry cases, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and remember, our goal as moderators is obviously is to do the right thing and be fair. We're not like again out trying to like punish everybody. Obviously, like nobody like it's not in our best interest at all to be like whatchamacallit, too harsh or anything like that. We're just trying to do what's best for the health of the community. At the end of the day, our moderation guidelines are there as guidelines as rules. Our rules are rules, but our guidelines, with point guidelines, are there to make things fair. But at the end of the day, we want to rule as humans. Like we're all humans, and in situations where it's not so much. Let me kind of rephrase my words. In situations where there's things like benefit of the doubt, or there's genuine misunderstandings, we want to rule as humans, not as robots. Because otherwise, if it's just we're gonna apply this as like the be all end all, no matter what. You did something. It was an accident. Don't care. Point anyways. Then we don't have a job. You can make up. Well, probably not yet in Minecraft, but that's a robot. That's not a human. So that's the reason that we are here as moderators, as humans, because we're at the end of the day, we want to rule as humans and rule in the best interest of everybody on the server.
Yeah, I think there are a couple robots here, like Norman, but other than him, I agree.
Yeah. And actually, interesting perspective, Dragon M. I'm not sure if you were interested in actually speaking today, but if you wanted to, I feel like you probably have the best kind of understanding of this, as somebody who mods very frequently. Okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, I think anything else that.
No, that was it.
All right. Then yeah. So I think without anything else on the forum, let's start opening things up to the floor a bit more. I'll leave it to you to figure out how you want to do that, Ancient.
Okie dokie. Okay. Okay. Anyone want in hashtag town hall? The forum's open, so.
I think you can just ping one of the hosts, stage moderators.
Yeah.
If you actually have any suggestions, etc.
And
I think this.
Okay, Tit has stuff to say. It's probably a shit post, but.
Okay.
First, let's go Tit, then we'll say Light. Oh wait, no, someone pinged me earlier and said they wanted to say something. They say. Oh no, wait, we answered that. Okay. Someone let Light speak.
Okay, let's go.
Did you?
Can't invite people.
Oh,
you can't invite.
Invited. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Is my mic okay?
Yeah. Okay.
A bit quiet, but yeah.
Okay. So, my suggestion for the PvP system was that, like, to disable PvP toggle, but overhaul how the combat logging is made. So that, for example, if someone attacks someone else, that other person doesn't get immediately combat logged, so that they can teleport or leave the game in case they don't want to continue the aggression. But if they hit back the first person, well, in that case they can enter the combat logging. That's my idea for an overhaul on how the PvP could be managed instead of having to worry about bypassing and toggling on and off. I think that would be overall an easier experience on people that don't want to be that don't want to PvP.
Okay, so let me just clarify. So you're saying that if I hit Salt, for example, I try to initiate PvP, he doesn't enter the combat log, and he doesn't get a penalty for logging out or for teleporting away until he hits me back.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of a pretty good idea.
That's actually that's an odd solution, but could be interesting.
Yeah, that's a pretty non-standard solution to that.
Yeah. Well,
it means if people fight back, then they can get killed. It doesn't completely get rid of randos getting killed, or killing random people on the highway. If they start fighting back, then they can't. They clog. If they don't fight back, they can just run away. It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, when you actually get killed too fast, you could actually die or something. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
that would need to be looked into more. But yeah, it's a pretty novel solution to that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I think we could open before the actual poll with several things, including the PvP toggle debate. We could, I guess, open up a poll strictly with ideas for how to actually fix the PvP toggle issue.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the documentation of the plugin for Combat Log, so I'm not sure yet if it's possible to have only one only the one initiating like the combat to be that one. Like, I haven't looked at it if it's possible, but maybe it is. I would like to help, so if I look into it and I find a way, I'll try to well to I forgot the word to let y'all know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually a part of existing plugins. That would need to be looked into, but yeah, that could require a custom solution. Also, Cranky, it's because mods have or had bypass, so that's why. I guess you could technically do temporary bypass, but that's a lot of playing with permissions that I'm not sure we would want to. Like, juggling permissions, I think, is pretty resource consuming and isn't very stable if you do a lot of that at the same time, like very rapidly. I think we would need a custom solution with a bit different approach.
Yeah. Well, this was like my idea. It still needs. It's like a rough idea, but
but
if we look into it, I think we can manage.
But honestly, like, yeah, just overall, this is like probably the first time I've heard like a really innovative idea around like solving this toggle solution. So I really appreciate the idea. That's definitely something we could look more into as a potential solution to our conundrum. So yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I agree. People in the town hall chat seem to like it as well. So, yeah, good idea.
Thank you. Well, that would be all from my part. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that really good idea.
Okay.
Does anyone else want to add anything to that in town hall? Say something. Doesn't look like it. So, you have any more ideas? Crunky. Okay, Crunky had something to say. So, you guys want to invite him to talk?
Okay.
Let me do that real quick.
Fair.
Crunk, yeah. Invited.
Hello.
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 My name is Crunky.
Hello, Crunky.
Can we link up with Blade, the Drain Gang Digital Artistic Collective?
Oh my
Drain
god.
What?
We link up with Drain Gang and get many new players.
Yeah, I think
I'm-
our
I'm-
server would not actually withstand the power of the Train Gang.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, we just cannot live up to the glory of the Drain Gang at this moment.
that is true. That is
Theo
true.
Gilly, lots of power, money, connections.
True,
The
but
Swedish
it'll be too
Drain
much for us to
Mafia.
handle. We don't deserve it yet. We're not worthy enough for the Drain Gang at the moment.
Prada backpack in the Fendi store. I think in the last year. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Truly
Just
wonderful
turn the
rendition.
lights on about it.
Oh my lord.
Um,
Thank you very much.
we should
For
have
that wonderful
Don't.
suggestion.
I'm resisting the urge to start singing. Don't get me singing in a voice chat. It never ends well. So please leave.
Can we advertise? Let's advertise.
Oh wait, show me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my. Okay.
Any more?
We're open to ideas, to people wanting to join now.
_pleading_face_.
Bring me up. Feel free
Okay.
to speak. Let me just find you.
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll go to kid.
Circle
Invite
sheep
to speak.
child.
Invite
Oh
to see.
boy.
Okay. Hello.
Am I up? Am I up?
You
Awesome.
are up.
Okay, so
You are.
I did go a bit missing for part of the podcast. Not podcast. What's it called? Town Hall. Sorry, I'm a bit mixed up. There's a very annoying problem, and it's like minor. It's not killing me, but it's tearing my hairs out. Like if I'm on a slab or something, and I try to go on like
Yeah, this is
a ladder, it just like it keeps pulling me back, and it makes me tear my hair out, and I hate it so fucking much.
What? If you're on a slab and then you what?
It's like a slab or a carpet or a button. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah. But what do you actually do?
Yeah.
You are on a slab and then you what?
First of all, so like for example, in my house, I think the best way I can do this is an example.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
I'm going to show you the map, and I'm going to give you a shulker that has like different kinds.
Oh, wait, I heard somebody talking in game, and I was like, "What the fuck are they saying? I can't hear anything."
Oh yeah.
I am so mixed up. I didn't actually think I would get brought up. To be fair, I just said kind of bring me up for funny.
Yeah.
Now that I can, I can. So anyway, so I'm sitting in my house. I'm walking through the house, and there's a slab, and then there's a ladder. And if I try like for example, to go on the slab to the ladder, it like starts pulling me back and forth, and it's really fucking annoying. It happens on like the what's it called? Carpets. I'm so I'm so mixed up right now.
I think the best approach to get this solved is probably to give us instructions on how to reproduce the bug. So it's like, okay, have a screenshot with the exact with like a minimum setup that you would need to experience this bug, and then from there you can send the details to one of our friendly sysadmins, and I'm sure that would be a lot more helpful than trying to describe it in a voice chat.
Yeah,
That
well,
sounds
I'm so mixed up.
That sounds like yet another issue with the anti-cheat. Or that could be at least.
Yeah.
Would need to look into that, to be honest.
I like lean.
Yeah, I think that's the. I don't know much about stuff, but that might be it.
Is that it? I have another topic.
Okay.
Leia wants to discuss sand duping.
I was gonna say
Sand duping is not allowed. And that was in the what is this? What did the fucking what's it called? Where you vote, you know? Poll. Yeah. It was voted no for in the poll. It's a part of gravity block duping, so.
Yeah. Gravity block tubing.
I don't think. I mean, it was pretty close, but I don't think we need another poll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So currently, the only duping that's allowed is carpet and TNT, as far as I remember.
Okay, gives a better suggestion now. Before Cranky, can you like put it in chat?
Swimming, do you want to speak? Well, you are trying. Yeah.
We could also.
So yeah, Cranky, do you want to speak? Oh, okay. Sure. Prot, sure.
Prot 5.
Give me a second. Invited.
You clogged shitter.
Okay, after Prot, okay?
Prot,
please accept the invite. You're not. You didn't accept the invite.
You need.
You're not speaking, bro.
Let them duo talk. Are you both okay with that?
They were. Sure. It's open discussion. They can.
Okay.
Invite
do that again.
There should be like a green button. So, you joined for a second.
Something's weird happening.
There's my mute.
Here.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Give me again.
Wait.
Okay, do you want?
Let Cranky go first.
Crank is
Prot-
here too.
Prot
Do you
can go
want?
first.
Just
No,
before that.
please.
Before that, should Swing join too?
No. Wait. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. Roll invite. Yeah.
Oh God,
Invite.
this is a mistake.
Hello? Hello?
Oh no.
Hello? Does this work? Does this work?
It does
Yeah,
work.
I hear
Okay,
you.
good.
Wait.
I wanted to talk about my suggestions because I made some really good suggestions a while ago, and I felt like they were not attended to.
Suggestions.
Like some
Wait.
really good suggestions.
I have a serious point.
I do too.
Say this quickly.
No. Okay.
Bensuke got banned.
Wait,
That's
what? No,
correct.
we weren't gonna talk
He
about
got banned. They think he was X-raying or fly hacking.
We
got
where
caught.
does fly
He got caught.
He was
Using.
We're not going to be commenting on
Can we
bans
let
this time.
Squid in?
Wait,
we not talk
hold
about this?
your horses.
Okay.
Bensuke got banned. Let's just think about this.
As I've said before, we did not discuss bans in this town hall.
I think Squidman has a. Why are you just ignoring
Can we not
people?
talk about Spensky? Can we not talk about Spensky?
As I've said,
Okay,
we did
guys.
not discuss bans in this.
Bensuke got banned.
Okay, guys. Okay. Strap the seatbelts on your ears. They're gonna go for a wild ride, okay? Let me ask you a question. Okay. Who plays TGN?
Nobody.
Excuse me.
What?
I mean, not TGN, sorry, TGF.
What do you mean?
What is the
Okay,
demographic?
so can we go back to the thing with my
Oh,
suggestions?
what is the demographic?
Can we go back to my suggestions?
Okay, what is the
Just wait a
demographic?
second, Swimming.
But like,
Wait.
Sorry, but let's
say something. Me,
one
I
thing
want
at
to say
a
Ben
time.
was.
One at a time. One at a time.
One at a time. Okay.
What is the demographic? What is the demographic?
Currently, the demographic of TG Forever is teenagers and young adults playing primarily that play computer games.
I'm not either of
Other
those.
video games.
I'm not either of those demographics.
Okay. Shut up, Duck.
Okay.
Teenagers and young adults who play video games. We need to link up with the international sixth form, international baccalaureate, and university community. Who agrees?
We should connect with the IB guys. That's a great idea. Be the official
What is
IB
IB?
Minecraft server.
So can we loop this back to the partnering with organization thing?
I hate I.
Wait,
No.
look at the video.
We
Did you
need
see
to
this?
link up with
This
the
is
IB.
Pyrophel.
The sixth
No,
form. the
no,
IB.
I will.
Anyway,
No, no way.
Let's. I think.
Okay. Let's be serious. There is many teenagers on the internet who talk to other teenagers about their studious activities. We could interlink the study aspect of teenage life with the gaming. We need to find the crossover with the study aspect and the gaming aspect.
I know.
feel like
Genius. Okay, how about this? If you get a good score on your IB tests, you get diamonds
No,
on the
fuck.
server.
Ancient. You're a fucking IB program taker.
Oh
No,
God,
I'm not a fucking
IB.
IB program taker. You think I'm smart enough for that?
No,
I have
fuck.
like
IB are
one
fucking
AP. Take
stupid.
one
They're
fucking
stupid.
AP
I
class
hate them.
next
I hate them. I hate them.
I hate IB kids. They're so
Guys,
annoying.
listen to this.
I'm taking 7 IB classes. Shut up, bro. Anyway, back to
IB
this
is
not being a podcast.
IB is for people who
Anyways,
don't.
if that's it,
Let's
I
move
think
on.
let's move on. I think we'll do one person at a time for now because this is not
No,
productive.
this is fine. It's just
This is not productive. So I'm gonna let Rotendo talk about what they wanted to
Just
talk
tell me something,
about.
Doc. I don't know why this is so amazing. Okay. I made some really good suggestions a while ago, and they were just kind of brushed under the table.
Please do re-elaborate them since we were probably talking about.
Okay, thank you. So my suggestions. What were my suggestions? Okay. I had one suggestion. Shit, I cannot remember. Wait, Squidman, you said you wanted to say something. Do you remember what the first suggestion was? Swimming duck.
Well, I guess a part of that is that you had a lot of trolling.
I was trolling. Okay, I was like making jokes, but they were actually good suggestions. And then who's that fucking Solar Awe was just trying to tell me that I was wrong, even though they don't actually know anything about programming.
I do not say that you don't have real suggestions. I'm just saying that it was just a mix of a lot of trolling and.
That doesn't make the suggestions not true.
No, that is fair, but that's probably why they were slightly glossed over. Plus, we were
if you
focusing
look
on
at the
forum.
suggestions I make, like
Anyways,
there's no hint of trolling in them. Like look at
anyways, that aside,
when I talk normally, I troll.
Okay,
but when I'm actually making the suggestions, there's no trolling.
Okay, regardless of that, like
yeah, like
that
one I made add a / command to message people from the MC channel. That is diamond. That is gold suggestion material right there.
So repeat the suggestions, please. Yeah.
Add a / command to / message people from MC chat. That is so good. I would use that. Except it was skipped over.
That could be interesting. I'm not sure how the technical implementation, my god, would work for that, because that would require obviously like custom
code it, man. I mean, why are you saying you're like the you've got like all these coders?
But the thing is there is also has to be like a priority list when it comes to like custom coded stuff, because obviously that's simply a good feature, but that's more of a quality of life thing when we're still working on stuff like.
Also, that other suggestion, what is it? When you reply to a message I understand that they're like quality of life features, but quality of life features are what make a server.
I wholly agree that quality of life situation, but the thing is again, you have to go back to like sort of that Maslow's hierarchy analogy. We're still working on stuff like our anti-cheat config and stuff like that are probably higher priorities than these quality of life suggestions, but I really do appreciate these interesting ideas, and I will be noting these down so that once we're past that stage of needing to do stuff like work on anti-cheat and work on other like immediate priorities, we can consider adding in features like that when we have people who have the skills for that have the time to implement.
Well, I would be happy to help code them. Okay, I will take time off of my day to help code these, because I believe in this community.
You are welcome to.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome to try and do so, as long as you make everything open source and auditable. I mean, it has to be open source and auditable would be my main criteria.
Just
please
calm down. Okay.
You're talking too fucking fast. I don't know what you're saying.
Calm down.
Okay, this isn't a fucking debate forum.
I'm gonna calm down, or I'm gonna be forced to remove you from the...
Okay, I'm calm.
Okay,
I'm calm.
Slowly.
Do you have anything else?
So you're saying about the messaging from Discord to Minecraft. I'm not sure that's an actual feature in Discord serve, the plugin we're using. And that's the primary concern. That would probably require some effort and
that's been established.
Getting that established. It's knowing the actual code base you're working on, which could be it's harder to actually read an existing code base than to create your own from scratch.
I can kind of think of. You wouldn't need to hook into the existing.
You're saying you need to use this plugin that already exists. Why not just? Because there's not that much that goes.
The way I see it, like on both ends, I don't think you would need to interface with Discord serve itself. Yeah. I think the main thing would be / command with another bot, and then that simply. Again, you would need to do multiple things though. You would need to have both a Discord side bot for that, as well as a server side plugin, and they can just interface with each other, and you should be able to do that entirely without Discord serve.
Everything has like all these little implementation details or whatever when you actually get into it, but it's like, okay, fine, whatever.
But I think the core of it is, again, I'm on your side here when it comes to like I don't think you would need to interface with Discord serve at all. So I don't think
great.
working with
That's
that code
great.
base would be a concern here.
Good to
Either way, skipping the implementation details, as you've said, it's an interesting feature for sure that has been brought up in suggestions before, but it's currently not a priority.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
So like
Well-
in terms of developing stuff on our end, that's not something that we would do in the immediate term because we have more
Well,
we have
then,
other
just
priorities.
generally, I would appreciate it if at least something was said to the suggestions because they were just left hanging.
Yeah, that is fair,
At least
and
just-
obviously we've given you the chance to speak here, and I've written down the suggestions that you've made here.
Excellent.
I mean, I try personally, and I've seen many other mods try to respond to these suggestions with constructive critique or actually agreeing to some things that's actually typed out in the suggestions. So,
And actually, something's being brought up here, and I'd like mainly you and Duos and Tekna's opinions on this. But how do we feel about say like being like, okay, if you have this interesting suggestion for this feature, you code it yourself, but like you have to make it available under an open source license, open source obviously, and obviously the code's open source, so that we can audit it and actually see what it does before potentially, and again, no guarantees, but potentially implementing it. Like, how would you feel about us being like, like encouraging, community development, but with, obviously with that caveat that it needs to be auditable.
That sounds cool. Yeah. I don't know how that would I don't know if I would need to get access to some kind of existing code to understand how to interface with it, but that does sound cool.
I don't think we would necessarily allow for access for existing code if that were something that we were open to, just because obviously with all those things come the chance for exploitation, and again that's why we would need to mandate that everything is auditable, open source, etc. No license issues, nobody's trying to backdoor the server.
That's true.
But-
I wouldn't do that.
But it would have to be like relatively
We can't
simple
allow
stuff
that.
because the more complex, the harder it is to audit, obviously. But in the cases where it's like, small things like this that could be implemented theoretically without too much complexity, and could be done in a way that we can, audit. I'd just be curious to hear from our sysadmins more like what kind of concerns would be around that and whether we'd even be open to that, because it is obviously a security risk to some extent to be, like actively like open to accepting code from the community in this manner.
What's the security risk if it's audited?
I mean, again, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, we'd have to be able to audit it first of all, which isn't, a perfect mechanism. And again, I'm like, people who know me know that I'm like very much an open source software advocate. I'm like, I'm all for community involvement, open source, but obviously we do have to consider the fact that there are people, in our community who'd actively be interested in, and we might not even see it, but actively would be interested in, doing stuff like backdooring the server, which is why we have to be very careful when it comes to like just letting people, write things that'll be executed.
I mean, Paper project got hijacked at some point. Linux got bad patches at some point.
Yep. Yeah, obviously. And again, that's why
such plugins would need throughout research into them for sure, and they are an actual security risk for sure.
Yeah. It's like something that I'd like to be a lot more accepting to, but at the same time, we need to be careful.
Well, I don't think these plugins would be too complicated.
Anyway,
I'm sure the actual action in the code would only be like a couple hundred lines maximum.
Anyway, you
Tekna?
seem to have other suggestions.
Yeah, well, let's let Tekna speak on this first. I think he was trying to speak.
Okay.
I do think that's letting that if people want to program their like own additions for the server, then I'm all for it. Though I'm saying that though the auditing thing will have to be a priority if we want to consider adding a plugin or feature to our server that someone else has programmed. But I'd say like if you like program like a simple plugin, like one that like has like he said like 100 lines or like only a few files in it and nothing looks sketchy in it, then yeah, that'll be a nice way to add like simple plugins will probably like be more easily audited than like plugins that have like 500 files and like lots of lines of code. And if we see anything obfuscated, then that's probably a red flag.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I think
code obfuscation.
Yeah, could be so like
Either way,
use
as I've mentioned, you seem to have other ideas that you wanted to bring up. So
Me?
why don't we move on to them?
Me?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Well, you didn't say.
I think I just had like these suggestions in the Minecraft about. I'm sorry. 1 second. Okay. Well, actually, so we had this suggestion about. We had this suggestion a little bit ago. We had the suggestion a little bit ago about partnering with some study groups, which are like mostly teenager focused, which is a really big part of our base. So I would like to circle around back to that if we could. Maybe bring Crunky back into the mix.
Yeah, Crunky mentioned that, and I'm inviting him to the
Excellent
conversation.
Hello, Crunky.
Hello.
Like just also real quick, like going on like study groups, like we could also target like I don't know, like I know that there are some high schools that do have gaming clubs and programs. Like maybe we could like reach out to some of those and see if they would want to.
Like that's like very specific though. Like we could obviously encourage word of mouth. Like obviously, I don't know that many people are gonna be like, yeah, I play on this. Well, now that we don't have the RSAT Teenagers Association, now it's not TG, it's not as bad, but it's still like, how many people are willing to like talk about their online identity to their IRLs. But I mean, obviously, if you want to market word of mouth, if you have a gaming club or whatever, you want to be like, hey, look at this fun teenagers oriented OSMC server. By all means, like go
with like 100 people. So
do that word of mouth.
I could get them in here.
Do that word of mouth advertising if you're interested in doing it. Like we vibe with that. We should it'd be funny. Make the marketing people that we get, make them like make a poster and then you can like pin it in your school, or that could actually be a very fun way of like guerrilla marketing to like in like high schools without like actually like leaking your online identity. Like a poster that people can print out and put up could like unironically be very fun.
In the bathroom next to the funny ones, the joke ones,
Oh yes, no, like have a bathroom one that just stares at you while you're using the urinal, but it also has the TGF IP on it,
Like
easiest marketing, so many new joins.
Like not staring into your eyes just while you're taking a shit.
Actually,
yeah.
I'm not sure how it's called, but like the teenage climate change protest groups. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
advertise a Minecraft server to climate change
advertise that.
I know, like it's had like a sticker.
I'm gonna go to a Ukraine. I'm gonna go to one of those Ukraine protests again. I'm gonna.
Oh no! No, don't joke about that.
Either way, yeah.
Either way, yeah.
But that brings
had
up
like,
a point that
it had something like there's no, and there were like dots, and someone just drew their shitting in the earth after climate change or something.
Yeah, but yeah, either way,
I have totally butchered that, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the original text in Polish, and I don't know how to really.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, that brings up a point that like we can have a lot of fun with guerrilla marketing, and one interesting thing is having having maybe like posters or having some stuff that you could use to advertise IRL if you were ever interested in doing that, like putting up posters at your school or like doing stuff like that.
If
Like just
we're willing to put them in school, why not just like we could put them not even we don't have to limit ourselves to just schools, right? We could put them on the street. We could put
on
them
the
in
street,
libraries.
yeah, but like it could be actually like that could be a very
Coffee house.
interesting approach to marketing that like that other servers probably haven't done as much of. So I'll definitely be writing that down and possibly seeing if we can get something like that done, just because I think that's an interesting idea that could net us some players.
I mean, we could even do billboards. I mean, I'm not. Look, I'm not.
Yes,
even,
we will use our
I'm not
surplus to
saying-
pay for a
I'm not
Times Square
saying-
billboard.
I didn't say. Who said Times Square? Okay?
Times Square. How much is a Times Square billboard? Let's get that on Times Square. Come on, we'll get so many players.
That's true. You will get so many players.
Either way, yeah, but I agree with music. Like totally serious here. I think just going through schools and stuff like that, kind of a bad idea. Like you would probably need a more general public. That's maybe a bit less. Because like
Yeah, Wuzado raises
essentially-
a good point because like
I would love
it's
to
also
invite.
like very location specific.
Wait, sorry, I'm not seeing this. Where is it?
Bit higher.
Finding it. I mean, I can't. Going to schools and stuff would be a bad idea. Would need to be more with the general servers. Wait, could you like elaborate? Like, can we get music in here to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I would love to get music in here.
Because the way I'm seeing it is like, yeah, you market at schools, especially like schools, the gaming club. Like, obviously, yeah, not everybody's gonna like it. You're gonna get some cringe. But like, the thing is the more people you get joining, the more likely you get people that actually vibe with it and stick around. Like, you throw enough spaghetti at the wall, eventually one sticks. So, we shouldn't we can go specifically targeted with our marketing approaches towards, the people who would be most likely to enjoy things. But like also just general advertising even in that guerrilla fashion, or general advertising overall to like primarily teenagers. Probably most people will gloss over it, but there will be some people that don't. Some people that join, maybe some people that join that'll like it, That's kind of how you have to be with advertising sometimes. To like
the main thing I wanted to talk about is like the general thing about the server is like I'm getting a lot of deja vu from 1.14 because there was a lot of suggestions about the server, etc., etc. But when it comes down to when it really comes down to what matters, we need players.
Yeah.
The servers is like the thing about study communities, it's really just brainstorming, but it's better than nothing, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
Even
see.
if we just somehow partner or advertise ourselves to communities with a few thousand members, that could create long-term players.
Yeah,
And
I
that's what
see.
matters.
See what you mean. But, TGN actually did. We did buy some ads in TGN, like NASA 1.14 through 15. I remember.
It was
it
was way too late though. Like the advertising came when the server was already dead, basically. And that's what I want to avoid through is the servers.
Yeah,
I don't want us
proactive rather than
to
reactive.
throw around suggestions for 4 months and then advertise when everything's too late.
I mean, I get it. Yeah, I mean, we've got some budget that we could do for like. I'm trying to find a word, but like, because like sacrificing is not the thing I'm thinking about. Yeah,
Also, the thing about high schools is it's a little bit too specific because firstly, we don't want to encourage real life information.
Oh, that is
being shared
very
around.
true.
I mean,
And
you're gonna just get very tight and very isolated groups of people.
yeah, but like you
fair, but-
can't by like going in, like you have to form the groups like from general advertising. You can't target too specifically.
But to be fair, like, well, that's more general, like more generally like an idea that like still has people like coming in with groups people coming in with tight groups isn't a bad thing because that makes them more likely to stay around. Having a group from the beginning, that's like that's actually one thing that I feel like does make people tend to play things more, tend to stay around more, get past that initial like, oh, am I going to commit to this stage? Is having other people, like somebody that you already know or somebody that you're already like playing with on the server. You good?
The thing is,
that laughing.
What's up?
I'm so confused.
No one's laughing.
I think like if we find a way to advertise generally, the tight groups will form people.
I didn't understand the thing.
I can't understand the thing either. Who's that?
Okay.
Do you want to type what you're trying to say instead? Will that be better?
If we advertise in a general way, then we will be able to bring in types of players anyways, because
Yeah.
players will introduce the server to their IRL friends,
That
which
is-
leads me to like another point.
Well, see, a that's not necessarily something that people do, but B, again, I'm not saying that that won't happen. All I'm saying is I was trying to refute the point that hey, we don't necessarily want people coming in tight groups, because I think that's not a bad thing to have. I think that's a good thing to have. So
No,
that's
I
kinda
think
what I
it's
was trying to
definitely a
refute.
good thing to have, but like the thing, it's just I have a specific like I don't want to say issue, but the high school solution is like way too specific. Like
Yeah, well, the high school solution is a bit weird. Yeah, I think, but like overall, I think interesting guerrilla marketing tactics might not be that bad to explore, just because doing something different might, get us into niches that other servers, other things haven't gotten to, and might result in us being able to get more players.
I just think like basically the high school thing, like if we just scaled it up to higher education, so universities,
Higher
and
education, yeah, well,
online
not just high school. I was
communities.
saying like stuff in general, but like I think guerrilla marketing, and it's somehow
The
encouraging
guerrilla
that.
marketing is definitely like I definitely agree with that.
And I think the
It's a good
poster
idea.
thing still is an interesting idea because I guess high schools is kind of weird, but like I see that now that you mentioned higher education, I do see that working somewhat well at colleges comparatively.
Also, I don't want to like throw in
Plus
my
that
own
doxing
personal.
risk.
I don't want to throw in my personal opinion in too much, but I think keeping the word teenagers in a name was honestly a big mistake.
It's currently. I mean, we've talked about it, and I mean, it's somewhat a weird excuse, but TG doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that is fair, and we
Kinda-
have made like kind of an effort to brand ourselves. Again, like in a lot of our like materials and all that, and we made conscious decisions to do this in information and stuff. But we've generally had TG Forever be as TG Forever, not like standing for Teenagers Gaming Forever. Not that it really stands
It
for
sounds
anything.
like you're just like forever stuck in the legacy of a dead
No,
Minecraft.
I don't
Yeah, that
mean-
is somewhat
Not
fair,
like
and I mean, do
reborn
remember
anew,
that.
like a phoenix born from the ashes.
Oh my god, not that again. But like, but anyways, but to be fair, remember the name was decided upon, in the aftermath of the TG shutdown when everybody was still like, very hung up on
Wait,
TG.
just
So that's
like-
why that name came. That's why that name came about, and it was publicly voted on. But at the
Just
same
to
time, I don't
reiterate,
think we're in a state where we could do any sort of rebrand like that. So at the moment, this really is our solution in terms of.
Well, I mean, if
you
you're
know,
gonna make a rebrand, you're gonna
hearing
want to do
about
it early because it's never gonna get easier. It's only gonna get harder. You know, it's not gonna get any easier to become
Wait,
a
I would-
or whatever. You
Yeah,
want.
but I mean,
I'd
you
like
don't.
to-
Care about rebranding as of now. I mean, we are kind of indifferent to that.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
I mean, it's TG forever. Who knows what TG is, huh?
Well, I mean, TG
I mean, yeah,
is a
but also
dead.
there is
That's
a
what
cost when
TG is, a server that doesn't exist anymore. It's
Well,
a
yeah,
dead
but no,
server
but
that was
no,
like
nobody
lame
else who
and
isn't in the
inactive.
community knows that, and
Okay,
anybody
no,
who
no,
sees
no,
that
no,
would not
guys.
associate it with.
I wasn't talking about the association. I was just talking about the word teenagers.
Yeah, the word teenagers, and
Because
yeah, we
this is-
have made an effort to
this is-
kind of like not use the word teenagers. We aren't like expanding that out in various documents and stuff much as like teenagers gaming forever. No, it's TG forever. That is our brand.
Okay, that is a fair point.
Yeah.
I think there's some people that really want to speak right now. There's a
Yeah, sure. We've
group
got
of
we've got like
really. I know
5 minutes
they've been
remaining, so let's kind of do a
really-
speed round. Let's
What's
kind
the
of do.
worst thing that could happen, especially since
I mean,
we're
I don't-
actually near the end?
I think they want to go in together. Actually, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a.
Let's
speed.
not do going together. Let's keep it one person at a time. That generally keeps things cleaner a bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I'm gonna move you to
could we just do it
audience,
this
guys,
time?
and-
Could we like just do it this one time? I mean, and then
We
after
should
that we
let
don't.
Muzak speak.
No, let's do one at a
They've
time.
been-
And
they've
people can
been
like tag
planning
people in
this
as
for a
necessary.
while. I don't think it's really
Muzak
fair to
needs to speak.
I think. Does Muzak
Okay.
want to speak?
By the way, speakers should be allowed to turn their camera on so they can make their point more succinctly.
That's not something that we can control. That's something that's Discord
I don't
doesn't
think
support
that's-
that.
We should do it in a normal.
Actually, like interestingly enough, yeah, because I was actually a long time ago. I was trying to get back on TeenServe. I was trying to get us access to video stages for the charity live stream I did a long time ago, but unfortunately, Discord did not let us. Very sad. Discord was like, no, we do not care about
They
you.
just want to speak.
Take an L.
They really need to speak. It's really
Yeah.
important.
Right.
They need to go together.
I can't believe I can.
Excellent. Thank you.
Fraud and creamy. That's good.
Excellent. Thank you.
What's the worst thing that could happen? Okay.
Oh. All right. Listen. Two things. All right. I just beat my dick. So this is a clarity idea.
That was fast. Anyways, moving on. Next one. Turtle Boy. Do we want Turtle Boy to give an inspirational speech?
Yes.
Invite Turtle Boy on.
Well, I think Michael has been waiting a really long time to speak to. He planned to go up with Creamy, and then Creamy kind of botched it. But I think Michael. I don't think we should deny Michael that opportunity.
How do you invite? Oh, there you go.
Okay, bro, Sendo.
Michael,
Michael.
we gave you, did the invite, like,
Wake up, Michael.
come on.
Wake the fuck up, Michael.
You guys are fucking stupid. You don't let me speak for 20 minutes. So, I've
Well,
some.
that's certainly a good entry.
Honestly, the guerrilla marketing, that should be like in conjunction with the other stuff, but it shouldn't be a focus. And you guys shouldn't be
You know,
relying on.
obviously in conjunction.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Just shut up.
no, definitely
Shut
not
up.
the only thing.
It shouldn't be left to the community to advertise. It should be a centralized like plan. And this town hall, to be honest, I don't think a Blazing E-Boy has said all that much. He just keeps running his mouth, saying his lines. But we need an actual plan for advertising it in marketing. So can we actually make one like within the next week? Can you guys write down a plan of what like we're actually gonna do to market and advertise? Because this is going nowhere. And then also, I think you should just let everyone speak at this point because you guys have been talking for 3 hours and
I mean, obviously,
you should just let everyone speak. It's been going on. We've talked about everything. A Blazing E-Boy has talked about too much. And
Fair.
we're sick of it.
Let's don't attack people.
But kinda, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just
One thing
voice of the
I will
people.
say to that is I don't know if within the next week is fully feasible because again, as we said, we will be the
Why not?
Christmas,
It's just
we don't
like a plan going forward.
we don't know. So, but we
Oh
will.
my God.
But one of the
It's
things
just a
I do
plan of
will say is
how
I
you
do
might
want a
advertise.
concrete plan. I do want a concrete plan. I fully agree that there should be a
I'm
concrete
just sick of
plan.
this e-boy guy.
I do agree that there should be a concrete plan, and like that's something that we were missing.
The thing is, we need to have a plan soon because, like Cranky said, the advertising in TGN, they said December. The server just died until December, and then the new players joined. They just left because there were like 6 people online. So we actually need to like do this. Like, I don't think it like 1 week is enough time to just make a plan, research some advertising, and just figure it out. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know what
I
you're talking about, and we
I
need to
agree.
actually do this.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, I fully agree. But we have stuff other than
I mean, I think this should be like
TGF.
the extreme priority.
It is a priority, of course, but it's just
I mean, come on, like there's like way too many mods. There's like 30 admins. There's no way that a few of you can't just figure out like some marketing plan in 1 week. Like I know you're all busy, but
for sure that's gonna be our focus.
okay.
As I've said multiple times in this town hall, that it's kind of a midpoint. I think, like it's kind of a point where we can actually switch our focus from primarily, not just abandoning it, but like primarily focusing on actually developing the server so it actually
Oh my
runs
God.
properly. Sorry. Do
Wait, I
you
just
have
that was a
some-
fly on my screen.
either way, yeah. And now, since we actually have most of the stuff under control now, because like I've said, we aren't too experienced with actually.
I know. I'm just saying, like, can we have an advertising plan?
We do not currently have a concrete.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying, like, can we have a concrete plan like soon? Because server's dying really hard.
It's gonna be our current focus now, for
Okay.
sure.
So, like,
Because
can we
that's-
expect
has
it
been
soon?
focused,
Or
but
That's
again,
a big issue, for sure. But just let us do it, please.
I know. I'm just wondering, like, if there's going to be like a timeline for this, or if it's just going to be like a distance thing that there's going to be an
it's definitely
advertising
not going to
plan.
be a distance thing. Again, I'm unwilling to kind of
All right,
provide
well, like,
a strict timeline on it until I get
Okay.
like
Can we have, like, a
people
commitment
that
for,
with
like-
that content team. Again, content team.
Oh
Once
my
I get
God.
them, I will be saying like,
Okay.
hey
I just
y'all,
think-
I'm going to give you like a week or
I just
whatever.
think this is
Give
going
me
to
a plan.
You guys are going to come up with the content team. It's going to be like 4 weeks. The server's going to be basically dead. There'll be like 8 people online or less. Like, look at Ascendancy. It died really hard pretty quickly and had about a similar amount of people. And I
Ascendancy is
think by the time, I don't care. By the time that you guys do the advertising, it's going to be too late. If you're going to wait for like a week for the content team, and then like the content team's going to mess around, do some cool designs for a few weeks, it's just not going to work out.
See, the
And
thing is,
there's
I'm
not
not
going to be
gonna-
enough money for advertising by then because you guys are going to have wasted it on the server hosting.
And
Or not
at
wasted
least,
it, but-
okay, in terms of financials, we're stable when it comes to financials. That's not a concern here.
It might not be a concern, but we really don't know how much advertising costs, anything like that. I'm just, maybe it's still not, but I'm just saying we need to really focus on this, and I think you guys should have a plan, like, within the next week of how you're going to go forward
Again,
with
within the
advertising.
next week is not a
I'm
feasible
not saying-
time frame.
Oh my God, can you listen to me, Don
It is a
Bish?
priority.
You don't need to actually advertise in a week. You just need to have a plan of what the fuck you're going to do in a week. This is like
In our
homework.
current situation, that's not a feasible thing to do in
You
a
have
week.
so many admins, maybe too many, and all of you are too busy to just kind of figure out some advertising in 1 week. Like, you could probably do it in like 2 hours. Just,
I'm
your
sorry,
shit
but like
together.
we are people. Like obviously, like again,
I'm
this
just
is a
saying.
priority, but we are
it's
people
like
with other
15
things.
fucking holy
You're
shit.
right, please.
to do.
When you sign up to be a mod, you should have had the expectation that you could spend like 2 hours once a week, and maybe that's divided amongst all of you, so maybe even less time. Like, I don't think it's gonna take that long to just research how to advertise and stuff. And I just feel like you guys, a Blazing E-Boy doesn't really say that much. He just makes excuses. He's saying these kind of vague things like, yeah, we're working on it. But
saying is, I've given you a pretty
you're
good
saying
picture of what our plan is.
I know, but I just want like there to actually be a plan instead of like.
Because I'm not like, again,
Oh my
I'm
God.
sure that many other admins agree that we're not like egotistical enough to be like, hey, I know all the answers.
I know. I'm just saying
we don't.
Can you come up with like what you think some of the answers are within the next week. Like, I'm not saying that you know the answers now. I'm just saying like, can we like speed this up and try and figure it out?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, we will.
I know they can't do everything right now. I just mean like
I know.
Holy
I know.
shit.
Yes, we are going to do our research in advertising and figure out where and when we will advertise, and we will definitely get, like, I'm sure I think I understand what you're coming at. You want us to get like a rough draft of what we need to do as advertising, and right now I think, and what E-Boy has been saying, we need to like get our content team, and then it's like get our content team and then have them like create something and like make something for the platforms we need to advertise to, and then we can like finally push out the ads.
I'm just the reason I'm so passionate about this is I've seen this happen. Like there's so many spin-off servers, and
yeah,
the advertising campaign hasn't been done right like once, and I just want to see it succeed this server, and I just feel like it's a repeat of every other server so far. And I don't really.
Again, what you're saying, that's all been taken into consideration. I really do like.
Okay.
I see your passion for it.
Can I say one final thing?
Sure, go ahead.
I think it's a huge mistake that advertising hasn't already been thought about. Like, it was very obvious that without a stream of new players, the server was going to die because that's just how it works. And I think it's kind of lame that obviously you guys are new and whatever, but I just think that we really need to focus on this now because it should have already been thought about.
That's a fair enough critique.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think we've got kind of our consensus established here, and yeah, we'll be definitely taking that into consideration. Internally, we'll be coming up with plans to advertise, and externally, obviously, you will see those content team applications. I know you're on about how that's too late, but also that's something that you will definitely see externally, is that happening, and that's our main commitment that you will see to furthering our marketing approach.
I mean, you don't have a marketing approach, so not even furthering.
We need to come
just
up with
making
one clearly. So
Yeah.
that is,
So I don't know what you're saying.
we're committing to making, at least internally, coming up with a
Okay.
marketing approach.
But you guys need to do it quick because
Yeah, I agree.
everyone's
And
gonna quit.
you definitely stress your point well, that we need to be proactive rather than reactive about it. And I really do. And I've seen that overall from a lot of people
Can you
in this
guys
town hall
unmute
today,
me?
and that's definitely something that's really been
I
impressed
got
on me, at
falsely
least now.
muted.
Okay. If you can't proceed without personal attacks towards the team.
Okay.
We're gonna
I'm sorry.
close up here. Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I think we should go to chatting one and everyone can discuss.
We can transform this channel so we don't have to move people.
Yeah, we can like
Just
can
move
roll out
everyone.
Can you guys unmute me and get rid of my points?
No, you've deserved that.
Nope.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Anyways, we are
this
over time,
is actually doomed, and you guys are fucked because I don't think you're taking this seriously.
I mean, that's your opinion to hold, but anyways, without
Yeah,
further
we'll see.
ado, since we are a bit over time, I think we will wrap things up. Thank you all so much for attending and for voicing your concerns. Whether it's criticism or ideas, we definitely appreciate all of it. And I've taken a lot of notes. I think Ancient's also taken a lot of notes, and we'll be introducing those things into our proposals, and getting things that we want to get done, and taking all this into account.
Yeah.
So like I
So-
really do like, and like this is like completely genuine. I really do appreciate all the feedback because it is really helpful in giving us new ideas and seeing what the community actually wants.
Okay, Muzak, I'm actually concerned of the server because I've seen this happen so many times. And if we're gonna wait for applications to come out with content team, and then they're gonna have to review the applications, and then whatever, and then
They'll
content
have
team has
fun,
to make
but like
content.
they'll have fun. We're
like
trying to wrap things
too
up, so
long.
I'm going to remove you from the stage. You can talk to Muzak in chat if you would like.
Thank you very much for thank you very much to everyone for listening for bringing up your ideas, and yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for
you.
the support.
Yeah.
And we're gonna transform the stage now.
Can you transform the stage? Is that a thing you can do?
You can.
It doesn't look like you can. I mean, I think it's easier just from a perms like a perms perspective and everything perspective to just encourage people to go to chatting one and end the stage.
Let's
So
just
yeah, if you want to have further discussion, I guess you can go to chatting one and have fun there. But I'll personally be leaving. So see y'all.
See ya.
I'll hang out and for a little bit.
I'll just end the stage for everybody.